Chapter 282. After sending the plane space here, Ning Shu's heart relaxed. She felt that this place was filled with Hong Meng purple chi, so she sat down and cultivated. Using her peerless martial arts, the Hong Meng purple chi merged into Ning Shu's body, making her soul stronger. Don't delay, we should go back. It's been a bit long. 2333 saw that Ning Shu seemed to be addicted to cultivation and reminded her. Ning Shu suddenly thought of something and asked, "There are many creatures in that space, such as kelp, what will happen to them?" "The plane will gradually give birth to its own laws. The animals living in it will adapt to these laws." "Ning Shu, I find that you're too nosy, aren't you tired?" 2333's tone was filled with disdain. Ning Shu curled her lips. "I'm just asking, it's not like I'll lose a piece of meat." Ning Shu stood up and was about to leave when she saw someone in the distance, wearing a black trench coat, tall and straight, walking directly across the sea of law. In 2 breaths, the person disappeared. School doctor uncle? Who did she just see? School doctor uncle? Ning Shu shook her head. That's impossible. How could the school doctor uncle appear here? But the person just now was indeed the school doctor uncle. Ning Shu had met the school doctor uncle twice, and when she was a zombie, she stayed with the school doctor uncle for a long time. So Ning Shu was very familiar with the school doctor uncle. Just now, she knew that it was the school doctor uncle, but why was the school doctor uncle here? Poet. Ning Shu was scratching her heart and lungs. If she had known, she would have called out to the uncle, but the uncle disappeared too quickly. She didn't even have time to react and the uncle was gone. 2333, did you see that just now? Ning Shu asked 2333 for confirmation. See what? 2333 asked. Ning Shu anxiously said, "It's a man wearing a black trench coat, looking very demonic and perverted. He just walked across the sea of law." "You're seeing things." 2333 said faintly, "No one has ever walked across the sea of law. You have presbyopia." "Fuck, I really saw it, such a big lump. Do you think I'm blind?" Ning Shu said unhappily. "You're seeing things." 2333 said. "I really saw it, trust me." She just saw it clearly. It was really the uncle, trust me. "You're seeing things." Ning Shu. There was a shadow in Ning Shu's heart. Could it be that she was really seeing things? Impossible, her eyesight was 15. Looking at the lake of law, there was no figures figure. There was an endless space that was endless plain space. She couldn't find the one she just now. Ning Shu turned and left, going back the way she came. Her soul power was stronger than when she came, facing the attack of the spatial wind blade. Ning Shu felt very familiar with it. She was rarely hit by the spatial wind blade. Along the way back to Wei Liangyue's body, Ning Shu opened his eyes and moved his body. He found that his body was incomparably stiff, and when he moved, his bones made cracking sounds. Was this Rusty? Walking slowly in the room, he moved his body a bit, only then did it not feel so stiff. When the soul and the body were completely merged, Ning Shu sat on the bed and began to cultivate. The golden coiling dragon in his dantian swam. It was like a real dragon. Ning Shu took out a fingernail-sized spirit marrow crystal and swallowed it. Instantly the spirit chi swarmed, rushing towards his dantian. It was as if the spirit chi was going to break through his dantian. The golden coiling dragon in his dantian was immediately excited. It crazily absorbed the spirit chi, and when it finished absorbing it, the golden coiling dragon chi suddenly exploded. Ning Shu was dumbfounded for a moment. How did it suddenly explode? Could it be that the spirit chi was too much to take? Although the golden coiling dragon chi exploded, Ning Shu was not injured. The golden coiling dragon chi exploded out of his dantian, merging into every corner of his body. Ning Shu even felt that his cells were devouring the spirit chi. Clenching his fist, Ning Shu found that his strength had increased. Just lightly slapping the table, the heavy table was smashed into pieces. His body was filled with power. It was only at this time that this seemingly low-level secret manual revealed its outstanding appearance in this plain world suitable for cultivation. Ning Shu had never paid much attention to this secret manual. When she first obtained this secret manual, the system had only given her 100 points when she exchanged for it. It didn't seem worth much, but Ning Shu had always been cultivating it. She never knew that this secret manual was so powerful. From now on, if he cultivated this secret manual, even in a world limited by the laws, he could increase his strength and protect himself. Ning Shu continued to cultivate, recultivating the qi in his body. Once the qi was cultivated, Ning Shu took out the spirit marrow crystal and swallowed it. The spirit qi was finally absorbed by the qi. Ning Shu did not go out to cultivate. She did not know what happened outside. Old Man Wei came out of seclusion to find her. When Ning Shu saw Old Man Wei for the first time, she thought that Old Man Wei's cultivation had been abolished. The current Old Man Wei's body did not have the slightest fluctuation of spirit qi. There was no pressure from an expert. He was simply ordinary, just like an ordinary person. "Father, what's wrong with you? Did your seclusion fail?" Ning Shu hurriedly asked. Her powerful father was her strong backing. Old Man Wei said in a bad mood, "Can't you hope for something good for me? I've broken through the bottleneck and returned to my original state. Stinking brat, the outside world is in chaos. I still didn't know that my son was so powerful." Ning Shu raised her eyebrows and asked, "What's wrong?" "I heard from the disciples that came back from the secret realm that you and Yu of the Hongmen sect were evenly matched. When did you become so strong?" Old Man Wei asked suspiciously. Ning Shu said proudly, "I'm strong, huh? Cultivation is the most important thing. What's the use of being strong?" Old Man Wei sized up his son. "Let me see how strong you are." Ning Shu followed Old Man Wei out of the room. Ning Shu clenched his fist, circulated his qi in his dantian, and used his greatest strength to hit Old Man Wei. Old Man Wei directly used his hand to grab Ning Shu's fist and took 2 steps back. Old Man Wei's face revealed a shocked expression. His son's strength was simply beyond his imagination. Ning Shu withdrew his fist with a smile. Now he was using his body as a weapon. His body was a powerful weapon. A smile appeared on Old Man Wei's face, but he forced himself to put on a serious expression. He reminded Ning Shu, "Strength alone isn't enough. Close combat is fine, but what if the opponent wants to compete with you? What if the opponent doesn't want to play close combat with you? That's why you still have to train hard." Ning Shu nodded and said, "I know, I will definitely work hard." "Father, what happened outside?" Ning Shu asked. "How did the sky turn upside down?" Chapter 283. Ning Shu had previously sent the planar space to the Sea of Law, and this round trip had taken a month, so he had no idea what had happened outside. Old Man Wei looked at Ning Shu with a pained expression, not knowing what to say. Ning Shu, "Father, if you have something to say, just say it, I can bear it." Ning Shu was baffled by Old Man Wei's gaze. "Is the Senfu on you?" Old Man Wei asked. Ning Shu almost jumped up. "Father, how could it be on me? If it was on me, I would have told you long ago." "That's good. That little bastard from Hongmen's sect said that the Senfu was on you." Sure enough, he was under too much pressure and wanted to divert the trouble. Old Man Wei's face was very ugly. Ning Shu quickly asked what was going on. Old Man Wei had gone into seclusion before and only knew about this after coming out. It was in the secret realm that Ning Shu jumped out and said that the Senfu had been refined by Yiyu. Most people believed that the Senfu was on Yiyu. After all, so many people who tried to refine it had died, and only Yiyu was alive. Everyone in the secret realm agreed with Ning Shu's words and believed what they saw. They all believed that the Senfu should be on Yiyu. After Yiyu returned to Hongmen's sect, the leaders of Hongmen's sect hinted to Yiyu to hand over the Senfu. After all, there were too many treasures in the secret realm that could allow a sect to develop quickly. Moreover, the entire Hongmen sect was being ostracized by other sections. This kind of monopolization made everyone jealous. If the Senfu had no one to refine it, no one would be able to refine it. It would be everyone's. Every time they sent some disciples to test it, they would bring back some good things. Now that it was being monopolized by a sect, everyone's hearts were filled with irritation. The more they ostracized the Rainbow Gate sect, the more pressure the Rainbow Gate sect was under from all sides. The more they wanted Yiyu to hand over the treasures and obtain the treasures inside. Yiyu didn't have any Senfu right now. The Senfu wasn't with him at all. The Hongmen sect thought that Yiyu wasn't willing to hand over the Senfu, so they took a step back and didn't let Yiyu hand over the Senfu. They wanted Yiyu to get some treasures from the Senfu to increase the strength of the Hongmen sect. Right now, the Rainbow Gate sect was being ostracized by the other sections. Although the treasures were given to those who were fated to obtain them, the others didn't have them. Since the Rainbow Gate sect actually had them, they weren't worried about the lack of resources, but rather the unequal distribution. Therefore, they all targeted the Rainbow Gate sect. When the disciples of the Hongmen sect went out to gain experience, they would be attacked by the disciples of other sections. This put a lot of pressure on the Hongmen sect, and this increased the pressure on Yiyu. However, Yiyu really didn't have any way to take out anything. Moreover, the Senfu wasn't with him at all. The Hongmen sect knew that Yiyu and Shihuidi had an ambiguous relationship, so they sent Shihuidi to persuade Yiyu to hand over some cultivation resources. Shihuidi helplessly went to talk to Yiyu. Shihuidi could be considered a woman that Yiyu liked very much. Now that she was standing on the side of the sect and asking him for things, Yiyu's heart immediately became hostile. Shihuidi's thoughts were very deep and had her own thoughts. She wasn't like the simple and straightforward Yan Jiao. In the face of this situation, Yan Jiao believed him, but Shihuidi didn't believe that the Senfu wasn't with him. The current situation was caused by the Heavenly Dao sect's Wei Liangyue. Yiyu even had a conspiracy theory that this was a trap that Shihuidi and Wei Liangyue had set for him. From the moment Shihuidi opened her mouth to ask for things, Yiyu didn't like Shihuidi that much. Yiyu's character was that he would rather betray the world than let the world betray him. His woman must belong to him wholeheartedly. Yiyu felt that Shihuidi saw that Wei Liangyue's strength had become stronger, so when Shihuidi said that she wanted things, Yiyu's attitude toward Shihuidi became very cold. Shihuidi pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Her wish was to become a powerful cultivator. Without strength, she would always be the one being dominated. This was the sorrow of being a woman. As for men, perhaps she really didn't have the fate to have them. Shihuidi also didn't look for Yiyu anymore. The two of them didn't interact anymore. Yiyu's heart was very gloomy. He directly used Ning Shu's method to deal with him. He directly said that the things were with Ning Shu and not with him at all. However, not everyone believed Yiyu's words. After all, the son of Heavenly Dao sect's Wei Liangyue, was indeed a trash. The Senfu taking such a trash as its master was simply an insult to everyone. Although some people in the secret realm saw that Wei Liangyue's strength wasn't weak, everyone thought that it was because Wei Ming had piled up a huge amount of resources. With such resources, even a pig could become a spirit beast. Therefore, when Yiyu said that the Senfu was with Wei Liangyue, everyone was half believing and half doubting. Ning Shu. He suddenly realized that the identity of a trash had such a use. However, the Senfu really wasn't with her. Old Man Wei gave Ning Shu some more resources and told Ning Shu to cultivate well. Then he went to guard the mine again. Father, you've already broken through the bottleneck and can be considered a top expert in the sect. Why are you still guarding the mine? Ning Shu saw that Old Man Wei was about to leave and quickly asked. Old Man Wei glanced at Ning Shu. Is the sect's decision a joke? I naturally have to clean up your mess. I definitely have to guard it for 50 years. Moreover, the crystal vein hasn't been peaceful recently. Naturally, I have to guard it. Cultivate well. Don't embarrass your father. Now that you have the ability, your father can walk with his back straight no matter where he goes. Old Man Wei patted Ning Shu's shoulder. In the past, half of his body would tilt when Old Man Wei patted him. But now, Ning Shu didn't feel anything at all. Old Man Wei laughed out loud and left. Since Yiyu treated her like this, she had to do something. She couldn't just silently accept it. Ning Shu released the Flash Wind Eagle. He stood on the back of the Flash Wind Eagle and headed towards the Rainbow Gate sect. When he arrived at the Rainbow Gate sect, Ning Shu stood at the entrance and circulated his qi in his dantian. He shouted, Yiyu, get out here for me. When the disciple guarding the gate saw Ning Shu, he immediately pulled out his sword and pointed it at Ning Shu. He coldly said, Tiandao sect, are you trying to start a fight between the two sects by barging into the Rainbow Gate sect like this? I'm just looking for Yiyu. Just call Yiyu out. This is a matter between me and Yiyu. It has nothing to do with Tiandao sect and Rainbow Gate sect. Ning Shu said indifferently. A disciple of the Rainbow Gate sect went to call Yiyu. When Yiyu came out and saw Ning Shu, his eyes immediately turned red. His eyes were especially red when he saw his enemy. Wei Liangyue, you actually dared to come here. Yiyu's voice came out from between his teeth. It was very sinister. Why can't I come here? Ning Shu saw Yiyu's haggard expression. There was a lingering gloominess between his brows. It was obvious that he was under a lot of pressure during this period of time. Little Hunyo Yanjiao stood beside Yiyu. Her eyes were red as she looked at Ning Shu with hatred. She pointed at Ning Shu and said, "Look at what you've done to senior brother Yi." Yan Jiao believed in her senior brother Yi unconditionally. She believed that the thing wasn't on Yiyu. Chapter 284. Hearing Yan Jiao's accusation, Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Which eye of yours saw me harm him? Instead, it was Yiyu who didn't want to hand over the Senfu's resources, so he framed the Senfu on me. I've never seen such a shameless person before. Yiyu looked at Ning Shu gloomily. Who's framing who? You're framing me. Ning Shu continued. He pointed to the sky and swore, I swear by the laws of heaven and earth that if the Senfu is on me, I will never be able to make any progress and my cultivation will be crippled. In this world, swearing by the laws of heaven and earth was effective. Ning Shu was just taking advantage of a loophole. The Senfu really wasn't on her. Ning Shu swore as soon as he came up, which stunned everyone. Yiyu's expression turned even uglier. The other party had used this trick to push the blame to him. Even if he could swear now, others might not necessarily believe him. Yiyu, who had always been smooth sailing, didn't expect that he would one day encounter such a situation. Although Yan Jiao was straightforward, it didn't mean that she was stupid. Right now, everything Yiyu did was useless. Yan Jiao was so angry that tears fell from her eyes. She took the whip from her waist and rushed over, lashing out at Ning Shu. I'll beat you to death, you vicious bitch. Ning Shu grabbed the whip that Yan Jiao threw at him and flung her away. Yan Jiao was thrown to the ground, but she wasn't injured. She got up from the ground and said to Yiyu with tears in her eyes, Senior brother Yi, no matter what, I believe you. Yiyu gently wiped away the tears on Yan Jiao's face and comforted her. These difficulties are temporary. Ning Shu looked at the two of them being lovey-dovey. He turned around and jumped onto the back of the Flash Wind Eagle. He said coldly to Yiyu, if you try to frame me again, I will beat you up. In fact, Ning Shu really wanted to kill Yiyu, but in front of so many people from the Hongmen sect, he didn't have the advantage. Yiyu looked at Ning Shu with gloomy and hateful eyes. Today's humiliation, I'll pay you back 100 times over. Ning Shu patted his chest. I'm so scared, just come and find me. Ning Shu stood on the back of the Flash Wind Eagle and looked down at Yiyu. Sparks flew when their eyes met. After returning to the Heavenly Road sect, Ning Shu met Lu Qinyang, who was obviously waiting for him. Seeing Ning Shu, Lu Qinyang immediately said, Junior brother Wei, are you interested in going out to train together? This time we're going to the Thunder Canyon. There are spirit fruits that can strengthen your body. Let's team up and go. Ning Shu wasn't interested at all. These people wanted to drag him to be their hired thug. Ning Shu waved his hand and said no, then went to cultivate. Lu Qinyang's face trembled. No matter how dissatisfied he was, he didn't dare to say it out loud. He could only look at Ning Shu's back and coldly snort in his heart. Ning Shu returned to his cave and continued to cultivate. Right now, he wanted to cultivate his essence. His current body's aptitude was much better than before. His body had been transformed by the golden coiling dragon energy. Although it wasn't as amazing as Yiyu's, it was still barely enough to be considered a genius. Ning Shu absorbed the essence crystals that Wei Ming gave her, and her cultivation level also rose rapidly. While she was still cultivating, Ning Shu felt that someone had touched an enchantment and stopped cultivating. When he came out of the room, he saw a female disciple with revealing clothes. She was holding snacks and tea in her hands. She was blocked by the barrier outside the room and stood awkwardly at the door. Seeing Ning Shu come out, the female disciple immediately smiled sweetly. She swayed her enchanting body and walked in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu immediately smelled an elegant fragrance. As soon as he smelled this fragrance, Ning Shu felt his body become restless, and his lower abdomen became a little tight. Ning Shu, fuck. There's a fucking reaction. Ning Shu really wanted to use a knife to castrate himself. The female disciple looked at Ning Shu's strange expression. She smiled charmingly and said to Ning Shu, "Senior Brother Wei, you haven't come to find Lan, for a long time. Have you forgotten about Lan?" This woman was here to seduce him. He guessed that it was because of Wei Liangyue in the past. But now, she wanted Ning Shu to fuck off with this woman. Ning Shu very righteously rejected this female disciple's embrace. Moreover, he didn't give her any face and closed the door. This made the female flute player named Lan so angry that she almost smashed the snack tray. In the end, she could only leave in anger. These women all treated Wei Liangyue as a resource provider. They didn't want to do sect missions to obtain resources. Ning Shu didn't say anything about them taking such a crooked path. Everyone had their own way of living. But Ning Shu definitely wouldn't fuck off with these women. Ning Shu directly hung a cultivation do not disturb sign on his door. He focused on cultivation. There was nothing more important than strength. But during this time, something big happened. Yi Yu betrayed the Rainbow Gate sect and took away the daughter of the Rainbow Gate sect leader, little tigress Yan Jiao. When Ning Shu heard about this, he smacked his lips. That little pepper actually ran away with Yi Yu. She was originally a heavenly daughter, but now she had to wander with Yi Yu. Now that Yi Yu was carrying a treasure like the Senfu, he would be hunted down wherever he went. Moreover, the Rainbow Gate sect might even hunt down Yi Yu. He actually kidnapped the sect leader's daughter. This was simply a great humiliation. In such a situation, Yan Jiao still followed Yi Yu. She was simply dead set on following him. Ning Shu was more puzzled about why Shi Huidi didn't follow him. Yi Yu betraying the Rainbow Gate sect was within Ning Shu's expectations. Yi Yu didn't have the Senfu in his hands, but he was forced to hand it over by the Rainbow Gate sect. Moreover, Yi Yu was a man of his own. He never had any intention of sacrificing himself for the sect. As for how loyal he was to the Rainbow Gate sect, even Yi Yu himself wouldn't believe it. But if Yi Yu went out like this, who knew how many fortuitous encounters and treasures he would obtain? Even if Yi Yu was hunted down, he would still be able to turn misfortune into blessings. Every time he was forced into a desperate situation, he would still obtain a fortuitous encounter. Ning Shu felt that he should speed up his cultivation. Yi Yu would come back for revenge sooner or later. Old Man Wei came over and asked Ning Shu to follow him to see the sect leader. Ning Shu followed beside Old Man Wei and asked, "Why does the sect leader want to see me?" "Shi Huidi is here." Old Man Wei, Ning Shu raised his rough eyebrows. What does it have to do with me?" Ning Shu didn't understand. He and Shi Huidi no longer had any relationship. Old Man Wei's face was filled with joy. "You'll know later." Looking at Old Man Wei's rippling expression, Ning Shu felt that it wasn't a good thing. When they arrived at the main hall, there were several people sitting inside. Shi Huidi was standing behind a long-bearded man. Her expression was very indifferent. When she saw Ning Shu, she only glanced at him before withdrawing her gaze. Old Man Wei first led Ning Shu to bow to the sect. Then, he introduced the person beside him to Ning Shu. "Cold Moon, this is sect leader Yen of the Rainbow Gate sect. You can call him Uncle Yen." "Old Man Wei," Ning Shu said. Ning Shu looked at the long-bearded man and thought, "This is Yan Jiao's father." Chapter 285. Ning Shu called out Uncle Yen to Sect Master Yen. Rainbow Sect Master Yen stroked his long beard and praised Old Man Wei. "I haven't seen Cold Moon for a while. Now that I look at him, he's quite a talent." Old Man Wei laughed, looking very proud. Ning Shu didn't think too much about it. But Old Man Wei seemed to have scratched an itch. He was very excited and had a feeling of exhilaration. "Wei Ming, let the two children out. We have something to discuss." Tiandao Sect's Grand Master said to Old Man Wei. "Huidi, let Cold Moon bring you around Tiandao Sect." The bearded Grand Master Yen turned around and instructed Shi Huidi. Shi Huidi's beautiful face under the veil was very cold. She bowed towards Grand Master Yen and said yes. "Stinky brat, you are a guest." Take good care of Huidi. Old Man Wei pushed Ning Shu in front of Huidi. Ning Shu immediately stopped in his tracks. If he really bumped into Huidi would die together with him. I'll have to trouble senior apprentice brother. Huidi said to Ning Shu coldly. Ning Shu was very surprised that Huidi was still willing to talk to him. He thought that he had injured her in the secret realm and they probably wouldn't interact for the rest of their lives. But now, Grand Master Yen brought Huidi to Tiandao sect. Ning Shu felt that things were very strange. Junior apprentice sister, follow me. Ning Shu ignored Old Man Wei's winking and took the lead to leave the hall. Huidi hesitated for a moment before following Ning Shu out of the hall. Huidi walked very slowly. Ning Shu had no choice but to slow down as well. Huidi suddenly said, Wei Liangyue, you must be very proud right now. Where did this come from? What am I proud of? Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. He didn't understand what Huidi was talking about. Huidi stopped in her tracks and looked at Ning Shu with an incomparably cold gaze. Previously, you broke off the engagement and humiliated me once, but I still delivered myself to your door to be humiliated by you. I really don't know what you're talking about. If my rejection of the engagement humiliated you, why didn't you propose it yourself? Ning Shu said with a cold face. Ning Shu knew that Huidi was a woman with a firm mind, but if she had to be so calculative about breaking off the engagement, Ning Shu couldn't do anything about it. In Ning Shu's opinion, breaking off the engagement would free both of them. Huidi's face under the veil became even more unsightly. Wei Liangyue, do you really not know or are you pretending not to know? There's a problem with the crystal vein that the Rainbow Sect and the Heavenly Dao Sect cooperated with. What's wrong? Ning Shu was really curious. She was a pure maiden who never left the house. She really didn't know what was going on. Huidi looked at Ning Shu's expression and suddenly smiled bitterly. Her tone couldn't hide her sadness. Every time we mine the crystals, there will be a lot less. The Rainbow Sect and the Heavenly Dao Sect suspect each other of hiding the crystals. Now the cooperation can no longer continue. Coupled with the matter of junior apprentice brother Yi, the Rainbow Sect can't afford any more twists and turns. Therefore, the cooperation between the Rainbow Sect and your Heavenly Dao Sect must continue. Our Heavenly Dao Sect needs a lot of resources. Ning Shu suddenly realized that someone was stealing. In fact, Ning Shu felt that this matter should be done by the Heavenly Dao Sect. Because the disciples of the Rainbow Sect had a senfu, the Heavenly Dao Sect was deliberately making things difficult for the Rainbow Sect. Most likely, this matter was done by Old Man Wei. Now, the sect master of the Rainbow Sect had personally come to talk about cooperation and even called Huidi. Ning Shu looked at Huidi. What does your sect mean? Of course the cooperation will continue. Moreover, we have to express the sincerity of the two sections. Marriage is the best sincerity. Huidi's voice couldn't hide the sadness in it. So, was Huidi going to marry Wei Liangyue again? What a deceitful plot. It wasn't easy to break off the engagement, but now they were going to get engaged again. Ning Shu could see that Huidi didn't want to get engaged with him. Forgive me for being blunt. Since you don't want to, why don't you say it? Ning Shu asked Huidi. Huidi looked at Ning Shu. Her eyes were very cold as she said indifferently, Not everyone has a father like you who can let you be willful. I grew up in the Rainbow Sect. I'm not strong enough, so I can only listen to the arrangements of the sect and repay the sect. This is the sorrow of being a woman. I don't want to become a tool that can be manipulated by others. Huidi's eyes revealed a sorrowful expression. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu curled his lips, but didn't say anything. What? You don't agree with what I said? Huidi looked at Ning Shu's disapproving expression and asked coldly. Ning Shu shrugged his shoulders. Since you don't want to be manipulated, why don't you leave the Rainbow Sect? Leaving the Rainbow Sect is easier said than done. I grew up in the Rainbow Sect, and the sect's kindness to me is as heavy as a mountain. Huidi's voice became even colder. Ning Shu said indifferently, If I were you, I would leave the Rainbow Sect. Since you don't want to be manipulated, you must live a more bitter life. You must make your own way. This is the exchange of conditions. You can't bear to part with the rainbow sect's rich resources and the rainbow sect's status. The rainbow sect has given you so much, so you naturally have to sacrifice for the rainbow sect. Everything has a price and nothing is perfect. Ning Shu was a little tired. Perhaps in the plot, Shirhuidi didn't love Yiyu that much. When Yiyu came to steal the bride, Shirhuidi weighed the pros and cons before choosing Yiyu. To put it bluntly, Shirhuidi was a person who liked to suffer, as if she had suffered a great deal. Don't worry, I won't be engaged to you, Ning Shu said indifferently as he brushed past Shirhuidi. Shirhuidi just stared blankly at Ning Shu's back. She lost control and said, "You don't know how much your father dotes on you. You don't know what kind of life I'm living." Ning Shu left without looking back. Old Man Wei came to ask if Ning Shu wanted to be engaged to Shirhuidi. Ning Shu decisively refused. She didn't want to be engaged to Shirhuidi. As for what would happen to Wei Liangyue and Shirhuidi after she left, she didn't care. Ning Shu told Old Man Wei that he wanted to go out and gain experience. When Old Man Wei heard that his son wanted to go out and gain experience, he was both gratified and worried. He didn't want him to go out, but then he thought that if he didn't let him go out, he would be like this for the rest of his life. He couldn't not go out and see the world. Ning Shu was the one who wanted to go out and gain experience. It was useless to stay at home and cultivate like this. She decided to join the large group that was chasing after Yiyu. Old Man Wei finally agreed to let Ning Shu go out and gain experience. Ning Shu asked Old Man Wei, "How did you settle the Rainbow Gate sect matter?" Old Man Wei curled his lips. Old Man Yen really doesn't have any sincerity. Every time he sends a woman over, we have a lot of people in the Heavenly Dao sect. Who cares about your people? You don't have to worry about this matter. Go and gain experience. Your father, will take care of it. Will it cause trouble for you? Ning Shu said uncertainly. After all, this was a matter between two sections. It's fine. Your father can handle it. Chapter 286. Ning Shu finally saw how much Old Man Wei doted on his son. If he wanted to break off the engagement, he would break off the engagement. If he wanted to break off the engagement, he would break off the engagement. Just like Shirhuidi said, Wei Liangyue had a father who allowed him to do whatever he wanted. Once his father died, Wei Liangyue would have to suffer twice as much for the first half of his life. Old Man Wei had prepared a lot of things for Ning Shu since his son was going to go out for training. Including the things that Ning Shu had prepared for himself, there were a total of 2 storage pouches. During this period of cultivation, Ning Shu's strength had also increased a lot. Under her feeding, the flash wind eagle had become very large. When it spread its wings, it was almost as wide as a room. Old Man Wei sent Ning Shu to the sect's entrance. After exiting the mountain protecting array, he reached out and patted Ning Shu's hand. "Come back alive. Father will wait for you at the sect." "Father, don't worry. I will live until you die," Ning Shu said while gritting his teeth. "Stinking brat." Old Man Wei patted Ning Shu's head and reminded him repeatedly, "When you go out, be more careful. If you meet anyone who has evil intentions, kill them directly. Don't think of being a hero who saves a beauty. Don't bully the elderly and children." Yes, the elderly might be experts who have reached the large success stage. The little brats outside might be the descendants of experts. If you don't pay attention, you will attract trouble. "I understand, father." Ning Shu released the flash wind eagle and jumped on its back. He said to Old Man Wei, "Father, let's go back. I'm leaving." The flash wind eagle flapped its wings and flew into the air at an extremely fast speed. Ning Shu turned around and saw that Old Man Wei was still standing in the same spot, shrinking into a small black. Ning Shu turned around and sat on the back of the flash wind eagle. He was thinking about where to find Yiyu. He would eventually meet Yiyu, who was being chased by many people. If he wanted to get Yiyu's senfu, he would only need to spend some crystals to get clues about Yiyu. Seeing a small town in the distance, Ning Shu patted the back of the flash wind eagle and had it descend. When they arrived at the entrance of the town, Ning Shu put away the flash wind eagle and walked into the town's restaurant. He thought that it would be easy to get information in a place like this where people from all walks of life would gather. Ning Shu ordered some food. As he ate, he paid attention to the conversations of the people around him. These bloodthirsty cultivators were either talking about women or treasures. However, no one was talking about Yiyu. The world was so big, where was she going to find him? At this time, a person at the table next to Ning Shu suddenly whispered, "Do you know the Hongmen sect's defector, Yiyu? With such a heaven-defying treasure like the Senfu, even the Rainbow sect has sent people to kill Yiyu. Isn't this old news? I heard a while ago that Yiyu appeared in Aou Valley and took away all the divine beasts in Aou Valley." Another person said, I know. I also heard that Yiyu obtained a divine weapon. It's very powerful. A person hurriedly said. Ning Shu, he felt that Yiyu's existence was like a locust. Wherever he went, not even a blade of grass would grow. All the good things were taken away. Ning Shu went over and asked the people, "Brothers, do you know where Yiyu is right now?" The 4 people looked at Ning Shu warily. Seeing that Ning Shu was wearing coarse linen clothes, they coldly said, "Brat, you dare to eavesdrop on us." "It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. I didn't want to eavesdrop on you big brothers. I'll buy a pot of wine to apologize." Ning Shu asked the waiter to give them a pot of wine. This time, the 4 big men's faces looked better. "I won't hide it from you big brothers. I also want to find Yiyu to try my luck," Ning Shu said with longing. Yiyu has a lot of treasures in his hands. The few big men looked at Ning Shu's appearance and suddenly looked at him with disdain. "With you like this, I'm afraid Yiyu's sword will be a dead soul. Yiyu is very ruthless. So many people went to kill him, but the pursuers all died. He's very evil. Don't go to your death." "It's okay. I'm just going to take a look. If Yiyu is really too strong, I won't run into him. I'll just run," Ning Shu said. Ning Shu pretended to be pained and ordered a dish for the 4 big men. One of them told Ning Shu that Yiyu might be going to Sand City. Ning Shu bought a map. Sand City was the territory of the blood refining sect. Could it be that Yiyu went to find Yu Wenwen? He remembered that Yu Wenwen was the chief disciple of the blood refining sect. Finally, Ning Shu decided to go to Sand City. He left the town and jumped on the back of the Flash Wind Eagle and went in the direction of Sand City. It took him 5 days to reach Sand City. Moreover, the speed of the Flash Wind Eagle was very fast, but it still took him such a long time. He felt that Yiyu was very good at running, but he didn't know if little tigress Yen Jiao, who was following Yiyu, could bear it. Putting the Flash Wind Eagle into the Spirit Beast bag, Ning Shu walked into Sand City. He felt that Sand City was different from other places. Every person who passed by him had a thick smell of blood. He didn't know if it was the blood of a spirit beast or a human. Moreover, these people's eyes were very evil. In short, with one look, he knew that they were not good people. Sure enough, the blood refining sect should be some kind of devil sect. Ning Shu was extorted a few crystals by the blood refining sect's disciple who was guarding the city gate. He then gave her a wooden tablet. With this wooden tablet, she could get a 20% discount the next time she entered the city. Ning Shu was speechless. So evil. Every time she entered the city, she had to pay a fee. Putting away the wooden tablet, she entered Sand City. Ning Shu first found an inn and was extorted 10 crystals. Ning Shu suspected that he had entered a bandit's lair. The blood refining sect was really evil. However, Ning Shu had a lot of crystals. She was here to find Yiyu, so she didn't care about these trivial things. Ning Shu ordered a few expensive dishes, but she still couldn't fill her stomach. However, from the corner of her eyes, she saw 2 familiar figures. Ning Shu threw a few crystals on the table and chased after them. "Hey, the 2 people in front, stop for this young master." Yiyu was originally shopping with Yu Wenwen when he heard a familiar voice. When Yiyu heard this voice, he almost thought that he was hallucinating. When he turned around and saw the dusty Ning Shu, his eyes turned red. "Wei Liangyue, you really rushed to your death." Yu Wenwen looked at Ning Shu and smiled. However, there was a bone-deep viciousness and excitement in her eyes. Clearly, she was recalling the scene in the secret realm where she was beaten up badly by Ning Shu. "Welcome Heavenly Dao Sect's disciple to my blood-refining sect's Sand City. As the host, I, Yu Wenwen, will definitely treat you well." Yu Wenwen smiled at Ning Shu. Her beautiful face was like a blooming rose, filled with malice. Ning Shu didn't care about Yu Wenwen's threat. Instead, he looked at the sneering Yi Yu and asked, little tigress isn't with you? Did you kill her? Yan Jiao was following Yi Yu. Even if Yi Yu betrayed the Rainbow Gate sect, Yan Jiao still followed Yi Yu wholeheartedly. She didn't care about her sect head father's situation in the Rainbow Gate sect and was so willful. However, Yan Jiao wasn't with Yi Yu. Instead, Yu Wenwen was with Yi Yu. Chapter 287. Yi Yu was a very affectionate person. When he wanted a woman, he would treat her exceptionally well. Coupled with his powerful cultivation talent and handsome face, it was very difficult for women to resist him. Ning Shu didn't see Yan Jiao and little Hu Niu. She instantly thought that Yi Yu was tired of little Hu Niu and had abandoned her. Yi Yu saw that Ning Shu mentioned Yan Jiao the moment they met and was instantly infuriated. He said coldly, "Yan Jiao is my woman. Why are you asking about her?" Ning Shu said indifferently, "I just can't stand seeing you fuck every woman you see. Can't you have some moral integrity?" "Ha Wei Liangyue, don't joke around. Who knows how many women you have fucked? You actually dare to lecture me? I am different from you," Yi Yu said coldly with a look of disdain. Ning Shu stared and asked doubtfully, "What's the difference? The ultimate goal isn't to fuck with women. You use the name of love to make them fuck with you willingly." Yi Yu was speechless. Faced with Ning Shu's words, Yi Yu strangely didn't know how to refute. He clenched his fist and said coldly, "Let me see if you have made any progress during this time." Ning Shu had long wanted to fight with Yi Yu. Know thyself and know thy enemy to be victorious in 100 battles. She wanted to see how powerful Yi Yu was now. Ning Shu and Yi Yu made their moves at the same time. First, they fought in close combat. Yi Yu realized that Wei Liangyue's physical strength had increased by a lot. Now, even he couldn't withstand it. Yi Yu retreated 2 feet and circulated his essence qi to attack Ning Shu. Ning Shu formed an essence qi shield in front of her and blocked Yi Yu's attack. When the essence qi hit the shield, Ning Shu suddenly felt the qi and blood in her chest become restless. She almost vomited blood. Sure enough, in terms of cultivation, she was still no match for Yi Yu. Her cultivation talent was no match for Yi Yu's. "The two of you, this is Sand City. Fighting is forbidden in the city. Are the disciples of Tiandao sect trying to provoke our blood refining sect?" Yu Wenwen said coldly. Ning Shu spat, "Adulterer." Yu Wenwen was so angry that his face trembled. In the end, Yi Yu looked coldly at Ning Shu and pulled Yu Wenwen away. Ning Shu coughed to catch his breath and prepared to return to the inn. She turned around and saw Yan Jiao standing not too far away, looking at her. To be precise, she was looking at the backs of Yi Yu and Yu Wenwen. Seeing Ning Shu staring at her, Yan Jiao bit her lips. In the end, it was Ning Shu who walked over. The moment Yan Jiao walked over, Ning Shu discovered that Yan Jiao's face was pale and her eyebrows were filled with exhaustion. From the looks of it, her days with Yi Yu were not good. Ning Shu said sarcastically, "Seeing your man with another woman, aren't you angry? Do you even have a bit of temper?" Yan Jiao's eyes turned red. She bit her lips tightly to prevent herself from crying. Hearing Ning Shu's words, Yan Jiao felt wronged. She had no one to rely on here. Even if the person in front of her was a big pervert she hated, Yan Jiao still wanted to talk to him. "Why are you crying? This is your own choice. You have to finish the path you chose even if you have to kneel." Ning Shu was not polite at all. Yan Jiao defended Yi Yu with a pale face, as if she was trying to convince herself, "Senior brother Yi is a good person. It is normal for so many girls to like him. Senior brother Yi is very good to me. He even gave me cultivation resources to use. If he is good to you, then why are you crying?" Ning Shu looked at the little tigress. She was really capricious. If this girl was his child, he would definitely beat her to death. "Big pervert, how is Hongmen's sect?" Yan Jiao asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu rolled his eyes and said, "Your father has become a laughingstock. His daughter ran away with a traitor disciple. There are problems with the cooperation between Heavenly Dao sect and Hongmen sect. Your father brought your senior sister and wanted to marry her to me. Before, Yan Jiao was holding back her tears. But after hearing Ning Shu's words, she burst into tears. She cried until her voice was hoarse, and many people on the street looked at her. "What are you crying for? Since you did it, then you have to bear the consequences. You just left and left others to clean up your mess." Ning Shu didn't know what to say to such a brainless person. In the end, she was still young. Love was the most important thing. Ning Shu felt that after going through so many worlds, she had become more rational and wise. She was able to consider things more comprehensively. "If you want to go back, you can," Ning Shu said. "Who didn't meet one or two scumbags when they were young?" Yan Jiao shook her head. Her expression was dejected and said, "I can't go back. If I go back, others will laugh at my father. Moreover, I don't want to face other people's eyes." Ning Shu nodded. What Yan Jiao said was the truth. There was no turning back. Right now, Yan Jiao could only follow Yi Yu. "You and Yi Yu have done the deed of husband and wife?" "You." Yan Jiao's face turned red. Ning Shu felt that the two should have done the deed of husband and wife. Yan Jiao immediately said, "I am already 2 months pregnant." Ning Shu, what the fuck? Others only saw that Yi Yu was favored by all kinds of women, but they didn't see the tears of blood that flowed down the backs of many women. Ning Shu didn't know what to say. She was pregnant, and her man was shopping with another woman in an ambiguous manner. How terrible and hopeless was that? Love was a matter between a man and a woman. How could so many people be caught in the middle? If he took in all the people who loved him, would it be fair to the others? So what if he was fickle in love? It was really disgusting. "Go back and take care of the baby. The streets are not safe. If Yi Yu sees you with me, he will give you a hard time," Ning Shu said indifferently. Yi Yu was an extremely domineering man. He couldn't tolerate any betrayal. He was very controlling. As long as it was something that belonged to him, he would have absolute control over it. It was the same for women. Yan Jiao looked at Ning Shu and asked, "You and senior sister? If you are worried about Shirhuidi, don't worry. I will not marry Shirhuidi. I will not force a woman." Ning Shu curled his lips. Yan Jiao pursed her lips. Ning Shu said, "Wei Liangyue?" After hesitating for a moment, Yan Jiao finally said, "You are a good person." "Thank you." Ning Shu turned and left. She wasn't very familiar with Yan Jiao. She and Yi Yu were on opposite sides. In fact, she was also on opposite sides with Yan Jiao. Ning Shu returned to the inn and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate. The current Yi Yu was much stronger than before. He hadn't used many trump cards, such as divine weapons and divine beasts. The combination of these could kill in seconds. Ning Shu took out a fingernail-sized spirit marrow crystal from his storage bag and swallowed it. The spirit energy was absorbed by the energy in his dantian. The newly condensed golden coiling dragon energy strengthened Ning Shu's body. Ning Shu's body was very strong now. Even if he used a knife, it would only leave a white mark on his skin. It wouldn't cut through his skin. Ning Shu liked the process of constantly becoming stronger, and she felt very satisfied. Chapter 288. Ning Shu was now at odds with Yi Yu. She wanted to kill Yi Yu when she had nothing to do. However, the strength of the two was almost the same. Even if she used all her trump cards, she might not necessarily win. Yi Yu was annoyed to death by Ning Shu. This person was like a mad dog chasing after him. Moreover, he was very fierce during the battle. It seemed like he wanted to kill him no matter what. Moreover, no matter where he went, this person would follow him. This made Yi Yu very annoyed. Yi Yu wanted to kill him, but this person was not weak. Moreover, he was very slippery. When he saw that the situation was not good, he would run away. Not long after, he would appear again. In the battle with Yi Yu again and again, Ning Shu felt that her strength was increasing very quickly. She loved to find Yi Yu more and more. Who knows if she would be lucky enough to kill Yi Yu. Ning Shu wanted to kill this guy very much. However, Yi Yu now had Yu Wenwen, a woman who was not weak. Moreover, this was Yu Wenwen's territory. Ning Shu was very afraid that Yu Wenwen would bring a swarm of experts from the blood refining sect to kill her. Every time the male lead had some opportunity, Ning Shu would follow behind him and destroy Yi Yu's treasures. Moreover, she also obtained a lot of good things. Yi Yu's strength increased rapidly. However, Ning Shu's strength was not weak either. No one could do anything to each other. Speaking of which, Ning Shu felt that she had been in this world for a long time. She thought that she had almost changed the fate of the original owner. Moreover, Old Man Wei was still alive. The original owner's strength had also become stronger. After Yi Yu's strength became very strong, he wanted to go back and take revenge. Those sects that had hunted him before, Yi Yu would not let any of them go. Yi Yu's time as a fugitive was his dark history. Now, he was going to erase this dark history. Ning Shu saw that Yi Yu was so cruel and merciless that he destroyed a small sect around Sand City. The territory of the small sect was naturally taken over by the blood refining hall. Not every disciple had tried to kill Yi Yu before. However, Yi Yu had killed all of them. What right did such a vicious and ruthless person have to receive the blessings of the heavens? What right did he have to possess such great fortune? He had given him such great power just to kill those who couldn't resist in his heart. These innocent people who had died were filled with resentment. This was a form of damage to the laws of the plane. Ning Shu saw the dark and gloomy plane that was riddled with holes. It was in pain as it slowly walked towards destruction. Every time Yi Yu wanted to go to other sects to collect debts, Ning Shu would go against Yi Yu and help these sects to resist Yi Yu. Yi Yu was simply not tired of Ning Shu. He directly let his newly evolved Phoenix Divine Beast burn her to death. Little Fire, who had drilled out of the Spirit Beast pouch, turned into a little girl. She was as beautiful as a little fairy. However, she was spitting out hot flames from her mouth. Ning Shu's clothes were accidentally stained with a spark. However, it was just a small spark that caused Ning Shu's clothes to burn. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't extinguish the fire. Ning Shu was ruthless. He directly tore off his clothes. He didn't even leave behind a pair of underwear. He jumped naked on the back of the Flash-Wind Eagle and fled. "Master, look, I scared him away." The Phoenix Divine Beast clapped its white and tender hands and jumped towards Yi Yu as it shouted. Ning Shu saw that the firebird didn't chase after him. He let out a sigh of relief. He took out clothes from his storage pouch and put them on. He felt a chill in his crotch. Ning Shu directly returned to the Heavenly Tao sect. He told Old Man Wei about Yi Yu. He felt that Yi Yu would definitely come to the Heavenly Tao sect. He might even go to the Rainbow sect. After all, the Rainbow sect had forced him. The reason for coming to the Heavenly Tao sect was simple. It was because of her. Yi Yu had the blood refining sect behind him. The blood refining sect supported Yi Yu. The territories that Yi Yu conquered were all taken over by the blood refining sect. It was simply a chaotic battle between sections. When Old Man Wei heard Ning Shu's words, he frowned tightly. He brought this news to the upper echelons of the sect to discuss countermeasures. Yi was like a bulldozer crushing over. Many small sects were absorbed by Yi Yu. If they didn't agree, they could only exterminate their sections. The blood refining sect's power suddenly became very strong. It made the other sects fearful. They joined forces to deal with the blood refining sect. Ning Shu felt that Yi Yu wanted to unify the Jianghu and become the master of this plane. Ning Shu cultivated while inquiring about Yi Yu's situation. The current Yi Yu had been labeled as an evil demon by various sections. He was a homicidal maniac. Yi Yu was actually not righteous? The struggle between the blood refining sect and various sects was intertwined. Ning Shu felt that Yi Yu was being used by Yu Wenwen. The blood refining sect used Yi Yu to become strong. He estimated that Yi Yu was not so stupid. He must be benefiting from the blood refining sect. It was just that little tigress suffered. Her man was going to beat her father. For some reason, the battle between the two sides became more and more intense. More and more people died. The more the two sides fought, the more energetic they became. They simply couldn't stop. Even the experts of the Heavenly Tao sect were dispatched. It was simply a massacre. Ning Shu was simply dumbfounded. How did things develop to this point? The two sides could sit down and talk calmly. Generally speaking, as long as there is a large-scale unpredictable war, it is the law of heaven and earth that pushes the previous law to establish a new law of heaven and earth. Perhaps the heavenly Tao felt threatened by something, so it wants to overturn the previous law. This is the law's self-protection. 2333 said Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. It was like a house being repaired. If it didn't work, it would be pushed down again. It sounded so cruel. Many people would die. Heaven and earth were heartless and treated all living things like straw dogs. However, by sacrificing these, countless living things in this plane would be saved. The smallest sacrifice in exchange for the survival of more lives. Is it because of me that the law of heaven and earth thinks that I am a virus and wants to destroy me? Ning Shu said with a guilty conscience. You think too highly of yourself. 2333's voice was filled with disdain. People like you who basically have no luck and even the heavens have given up on you will not notice you at all. Moreover, some people with luck have done things that exceed the law's limits and harm the plane. The law will either set things right or completely overturn them. When he heard that it was not his fault, Ning Shu felt very complicated. He was trembling in fear and in the end, the other party did not even care about him. His face was burning. The cancer of embarrassment was acting up. Mission completed. Leave the mission world. 2333 said. Ning Shu was surprised. Even if the mission is completed, the two sides are evenly matched. Now is the time for the heavenly Tao to rebuild the law. Everyone's fate is unpredictable. In the future, Wei Liangyue's fate will depend on himself. You have already helped him escape from his previous fate. You have already stayed in this plane for a long time. Your soul will not be able to take it. 2333 said calmly. Ning Shu nodded. Leave the world. As soon as he said that, Ning Shu's head buzzed. When he opened his eyes again, he was already in the system space. Chapter 289. Once back in the system, Ning Shu looked down at her soul. As expected, it was dim and damaged. She quickly sat down and absorbed the materials in the system to strengthen her soul. When Ning Shu could no longer absorb the materials in the system, she stopped and asked 2333, "What did I absorb?" She had always wanted to ask this question. It seemed to be different from spirit energy. You said you absorbed it. It's actually chaos spirit energy. 2333 said. Primal chaos spiritual chi sounded awesome. Ning Shu didn't understand it, but it was good enough as long as it was good for her. Let's look at my points. Ning Shu said. The points this time should be enough to open the system store. Number 23333 name, Ning Shu age, 27 experience, 14000100000 soul, 200 HP, 50 wisdom, 85 charm, 3 luck, 34 spirit, 120 martial strength, 10 aptitude, 26 merit, 510 skills, 5th ring spear technique, trash fighting technique, beginner in martial arts honorary title, goddess of Wura, mother of the world, queen's blessing, Wei Liangyu's quest completed. Quest completion, 100. Obtained 10 attribute points. Ning Shu saw that he had 100,000 points this time. In addition to the 140,000 points from before, he could open the system store. I already have over 200,000 points. Let's open the system shop, Ning Shu said excitedly to 2333. 2333 said, you can only open the beginner system store now. Go ahead. Wait a moment. The system will update now. 2333 said and then went silent. It had been a long time since he appeared. Ning Shu sat on the ground and waited. He couldn't help but call out, 2333, are you done? Okay, you can open the system store now. 2333 said. Ning Shu immediately opened the system store. Suddenly, there were all kinds of things. All kinds of pills, all kinds of secret manuals, all kinds of auras, and all kinds of weapons. There were even aircraft carriers, divine weapons, and divine beasts. Just the beginner system store had so many things. What about the advanced system store? It was simply unimaginable. When Ning Shu saw that a fist-sized chaos stone cost 2 million points, she felt as though a hole had been torn in her heart. She was bleeding profusely. 2333 had stolen a chaos stone that required 2 million points to exchange for. Ning Shu hammered his chest. His heart was in pain. Opening his bag, he found a pitch-black soul orb and a few lonely spirit marrow crystals. Needless to say, it looked extremely shabby. Ning Shu felt his liver hurt when he saw that these things were easily worth tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of points. He realized that he was a poor bastard. The thing that hurt him the most was the chaos stone that 2333 had stolen. Ning Shu looked at the secret manuals. These secret manuals were very expensive. Ning Shu thought about it and decided not to exchange for them. He would just use the ultimate martial art. After all, he had feelings for it. He felt that his secret manual was very powerful. 2333 said, "Although you have opened the system store, there are some things that I must make clear to you. First, the items in the system store cannot exceed the restrictions of the plane. For example, you cannot exchange for aircraft carriers in the ancient world. Of course, you cannot afford it. Second, players cannot use more than 2 items from the system store in each world. In other words, you can only use 1 item. This is to prevent players from using the system store to destroy the plane. You are there to repair and maintain the plane, not to destroy it. Do you understand?" 2333 asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded and said, "It means that there will be restrictions on the items in the system store. Also, I suggest that you add more attribute points to your health points." 2333 suggested, "You will encounter higher-level cultivation worlds in the future. In these worlds, you will be in seclusion for dozens of years. Your health points are only 50 points. If your health points are depleted in the quest world, you will be finished. Don't always add attribute points to your martial art. You must develop in all aspects, understand?" Ning Shu listened to 2333's advice and nodded. "I understand. This time, I will add all attribute points to my health points." 2333. Previously, he was obsessed with his martial art. Now, he was obsessed with his health points? Ning Shu really added all his attribute points to his health points. Number 23333 Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27 Experience, 40,000 Soul, 200 Health Points, 5010 Wisdom, 85 Charm, 3 Luck, 34 Spirit, 120 Martial Art, 10 Aptitude, 26 Merit, 510 Skills, 5 Ring Spear Technique, Trash Close Combat Technique, Ultimate Martial Art. New honorary title, Goddess of Wara, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing. Ning Shu saw that his points were basically gone and his heart was broken. However, Ning Shu noticed that there were 10 merit points this time. He asked 2333, "Where did these 10 merit points come from?" "Who knows? I don't know where they come from either. These things are not calculated the same way as the points." 2333 said, "Do you want to enter the mission world now?" 2333 asked. Ning Shu waved his hand. "No, I'm too tired. I need to rest." "Oh right, what world will my next mission be?" Ning Shu opened the exchange shop and browsed. Looking at the items on the shop, he felt his heart itch. He really wanted to chop off his hands, but he didn't have any points. "Your next world is the modern world," 2333 said. Hearing that it was the modern world, Ning Shu could exchange for a female gun, and it only cost 5,000 points. With the bullets, it was a total of 8,000 points. Ning Shu was very tempted. So he clicked on the exchange. Ning Shu clicked once, but there was no reaction. He clicked again, but there was still no reaction. "Why can't I exchange for it?" 23333, what's going on? Why can't I exchange for it? Ning Shu used his finger to poke at the attribute panel desperately. 2333 explained, "The world you're going to is a peaceful world. There's no need for guns at all. The system shop won't exchange for it." "Damn, this can't be exchanged, that can't be exchanged. What's the point of her opening the shop?" Sure enough, she still had to rely on herself for everything. These external things were unreliable. Ning Shu laughed coldly and sat on the ground taking deep breaths. When you go to the high-level world to do missions in the future, there will be a lot of resources. When the time comes, you can collect them yourself. The system shop is like this. There are restrictions for everyone, not just for you. 2333 comforted Ning Shu. Why haven't I met a mission enforcer until now? Can't a world accommodate 2 mission enforcers? Ning Shu asked 2333. 2333 said, actually, there are many mission enforcers. Some have an accident during the mission and completely disappeared. There are so many worlds, the chances of meeting one are relatively small. But you can meet one in the high-level world. High-level mission enforcers don't like to do missions in low-level worlds. You're now in a low-level world. You're on the edge. You can't enter that circle. 2333 encouraged Ning Shu. Do it. Ning Shu. Chapter 290. Ning Shu browsed through the exchange store. Seeing that he couldn't exchange for anything, Ning Shu simply closed the store. He was too lazy to look at it, but his heart was restless. Ning Shu wanted to sleep before doing the quest. Although he was now a soul and didn't need to sleep at all, this habit had always been there. He wanted to use sleep to reduce pressure. He lay on the ground and prepared to sleep. This feeling of lying on the ground was not good. Ning Shu sat up and asked, "Is there something like a bed? I want to sleep." Yes, this kind of thing is available in the system store. You can exchange for it, 2333 said. When Ning Shu heard that there really was such a thing, he quickly opened the exchange store. Finally, he found the furniture button in a corner. No wonder he couldn't see it before. Ning Shu clicked on the furniture page and saw a variety of furniture. There were many styles, but the points required were very few. The most was 20 points. Not only was there furniture, but there were also all kinds of electrical appliances or sports equipment. There were all kinds of bouquets and potted plants. It was simply everything. There were also some luxury goods, jewelry, bags, clothes, shoes, and things that women would go crazy for. Most importantly, they were very cheap. But obviously, these were the most worthless things in the exchange store. Ning Shu sold a lot of things in one go. The bed, the furniture, and the potted plants. All kinds of small things added up to no more than 200 points, but the feeling of buying things was very good. He felt like he had become a tycoon. After exchanging, the item appeared in the system space in a short while. Ning Shu didn't know how it appeared. Even the courier didn't want it. It felt so magical. Ning Shu was busy for a while putting everything in place. The white space finally had some life. It felt a little like home. The fresh and pleasant potted flowers with bright dew on them, the light green sofa, and the white carpet. For the first time, Ning Shu felt that the system store was his home. Ning Shu lay on the bed. Even his soul could feel that the soft quilt was very comfortable. Lying on the bed, he fell into a deep sleep. After sleeping for an unknown period of time, Ning Shu woke up feeling refreshed. His entire body was relaxed, and his spirit had settled down. He had decided that he would take a good rest every time he completed a mission in the future. If he didn't learn to relax, he would have a mental breakdown sooner or later. Moreover, according to 2333, she was just a low-level quest taker. She was the kind that lived in a precarious state. If she died during the mission, she would disappear completely. For the sake of her own life, she had to work hard. 2333, let's go do the quest, Ning Shu said. Ding! Attention player, you have entered the quest world. As soon as 2333's voice fell, Ning Shu felt a wave of dizziness. After his soul merged with his body, Ning Shu immediately felt uncomfortable all over. He felt very heavy, dizzy and weak, and his throat was extremely swollen and painful. Ning Shu struggled to open his glue-like eyelids and saw that he was sleeping on the bed with some medicine on the bedside table. The original owner must have caught a bad cold. Ning Shu took the medicine, read the instructions, mixed it with cold water and swallowed it. After taking the medicine, Ning Shu covered her head and fell asleep. She didn't want to think about anything now. She was very dizzy and felt like she was going to vomit if she moved. It was very uncomfortable. When she woke up again, it was already dark. She was sweating all over. After taking the medicine, she felt a little better. She touched the bathroom and washed herself. After taking the medicine, she lay down and received the storyline. The original owner was called Qin Shi. She was an agent in the Ocean Waves media company. She had several artists under her management. These artists were all new to the company this year. Qin Shi had 1 or 2 half-popular artists, but most of them were newcomers. An agent's job was the most stressful. Not only did they have to make money for the company and improve their own performance, but they also had to worry about many other things, such as planning the future of the artists under their management and choosing accessories for the artists under their management when they attended public events. Not only that, they also had to mediate the conflicts and fights between their artists. This was one of the most tiring, most troublesome, and most trivial jobs. One of Qin Shi's underlings was a girl called Mador. She was a newcomer this year. Her looks were pure and charming. Qin Shi felt that if this girl kept her pure temperament, she would be able to make a name for herself in the entertainment industry. With the intention of promoting her, Qin Shi took Madol to a few dinner parties. These dinner parties were all big shots in the entertainment industry, or very famous directors and producers. If she could make some connections with these people, it would be good for Madol's future. The entertainment industry looked very bright on the surface, but there were some dark secrets behind it. If you wanted to make a name for yourself, you not only had to have the ability, but also had to have the opportunity to be promoted. That day, Qin Shi took 2 girls with her. In addition to Madol, there was also a girl called Qiao Yi. Qiao Yi was also an outstanding newcomer. Madol was not very interested in these kinds of occasions. She always caused some small trouble. For example, some men wanted to take advantage of Madol. Madol's reaction was relatively big, making the scene cold. It was always Qin Shi who came out to solve the problem. Now, Qin Shi had a bad cold because Madol had angered the CEO of Mo's entertainment group, Mojave, at the dinner party yesterday. The reason was that Madol had spilled wine on the male lead, Mojave. Qin Shi pulled Madol to stand in the rain next to Mojave's car to apologize. Madol was unwilling to apologize to Mojave. Although Madol had apologized, Qin Shi felt that Madol was not suitable for the entertainment industry. This kind of EQ was simply cannon fodder in the entertainment industry. Madol felt that she had the ability. As long as she was willing to work hard, she would definitely become a qualified actress. She could become a movie queen. When Madol entered the entertainment industry, she set a goal for herself, and that was to become a movie queen. Every time she was taken to such a dinner party by her agent, Madol's heart was very uncomfortable. She was here to act, not to drink and eat with people. Moreover, these men were very disgusting. Madol, who had just entered the entertainment industry, was very arrogant and had a strong mentality. She felt that she could succeed without relying on these crooked ways. Because of this, Qin Shi rarely took Madol, but in order to ensure a certain degree of fairness, Qin Shi occasionally took Madol to banquets. However, at one banquet, Madol got involved with the CEO of Mo's entertainment group, Mojave. The reason was that Mojave fell into the trap. In the entertainment industry, Mojave was the man that every female star wanted to sleep with. He was handsome and rich, and he could do whatever he wanted in the entertainment industry. As long as Mojave promoted her a little, she would be waiting to become famous. 24K pure gold. Many female stars wanted to climb into Mojave's bed by hook or by crook. Chapter 291. After Mojave realized that he had been tricked, he immediately went out of the banquet hall and jumped into the swimming pool not far away. It wasn't that Mojave was loyal, but Mojave hated being tricked like this. In the entertainment industry, he had seen everything. It was incomparably dirty. Mojave simply looked down on such a woman, let alone with such a woman, especially under the influence of Chinese medicine. Madol didn't like this kind of occasion, so she went out of the banquet hall and enjoyed the evening breeze beside the swimming pool. When she heard a splash, she jumped in to save someone. She insisted on getting Mojave, who was under the influence of Chinese medicine, up. Mojave was already having a hard time holding it in. Now that there was a woman's body close to him, he suddenly felt like he couldn't hold it in anymore. Then he smelled the clean scent of Madol's body, which didn't have the strong perfume of other female stars. Mojave wasn't a person who would let himself suffer. He directly picked up Maydol and went to the small forest beside the swimming pool and made love with Maydol. Maydol was in despair. She originally went to save someone, but it developed into the story of the farmer and the snake. She was actually raped. After that, Mojave felt that this woman was very clean and very inexperienced. After pulling up his pants, he wrote a big check for Maydol. Maydol immediately felt insulted. She tore the check and ran away. Maydol kept this matter a secret. She didn't tell anyone, even Chen-Shi, her agent, didn't know about it. Mojave felt that this woman was putting on an act. Sooner or later, she would come back to him. Every woman who got close to him had their own thoughts. They were just playing hard to get. Women who entered the entertainment industry didn't all want to be famous. However, Maydol really didn't go to him. Mojave sent someone to investigate Maydol. Seeing that Maydol was so miserable and always playing minor roles, Mojave felt that this woman had at least been in his bed before, so he conveniently helped Maydol. From then on, Maydol began to get lucky. Moreover, she received some more important roles without going through Chen-Shi, her agent. Mojave secretly paid attention to Maydol. He found that Maydol was really different from the women in the entertainment industry. She was clean and pure, and gradually revealed her beauty. Coupled with the aftertaste of Maydol, Mojave decided to maintain a relationship with Maydol. The two gradually became entangled. Mojave always forced Maydol to have sex with him. He liked Maydol's body. Mojave also threatened Maydol. If she didn't agree, he would tell others that she was raped. Maydol was angered to death by Mojave's shamelessness. She could only obey Mojave. Although Mo Juefeng and my always forced my duo, to do things, he was really good to her. He even quietly let her play more and more important roles. Whenever she encountered any difficulties, Mo Juefeng would solve them. My duo was in the limelight all the way and finally became the best actress. She also gained a beautiful relationship. She was a winner in life. Mojave doted on his wife all the way, making others envious. All kinds of public displays of affection were simply blinding. It was reasonable to say that Maydol's popularity would make Chen-Shi, her agent, proud. However, this was not the case. Maydol was very dissatisfied with her agent. It could be said that she hated her agent because she always let her artists go astray. Maydol hated this the most. In addition, Chen-Shi was very cold to Maydol, which made Maydol feel that Chen-Shi was unprincipled and unfair. Maydol just casually complained to Mojave about Chen-Shi, saying that Chen-Shi was like a pimp in an ancient brothel. This made Mojave think about it in his heart. Chen-Shi was fired by the company, and her artists were taken over by other agents. However, none of them rose up. After Chen-Shi was fired by Highlang Media, she went to other entertainment companies to interview to be an agent. However, none of them wanted her. Chen-Shi finally understood who she had offended. Someone told her that it was the CEO of Mo's entertainment group who wanted to ban her. It made it impossible for her to continue in the entertainment industry. Chen-Shi wanted to know why. When she saw Mojave and Maydol holding hands, Chen-Shi knew why. Maydol looked down on female stars who didn't have any dignity and would do anything to get a role. However, what was different about Maydol now? It was just that Maydol was serving one person. Moreover, it was in the name of love. Mojave's love for Maydol was in the name of love, not a dirty deal. Because of love, everything was natural. Chen-Shi was so angry that she directly exposed the relationship between Maydol and Mojave. She said that Maydol was Mojave's mistress. Of course, Chen-Shi couldn't stay in the entertainment industry anymore. When she was about to leave Jiangqing, she was caught by gangsters. Then, she was raped by several gangsters and locked in a room where she couldn't see the light of day. Chen-Shi, who was in despair, used a fruit knife to kill one of the gangsters. Then, she was stabbed to death by the other gangsters. Her body was thrown into the sea and buried in the belly of the fishes. Ning Shu, this was the peaceful world that the system talked about. Damn, she was killed in the end and it was peaceful? The original owner's wishes. 1. She didn't want to be killed by Maydol and Mojave. She didn't want to let the noble Maydol lose her reputation. It would be best if she could let Maydol struggle at the bottom of the entertainment industry so that she could still be so arrogant and look down on others. 2. If she could deal with Mojave, she was willing to give up 3/4 of her soul. Ning Shu saw Qin Shi's second wish. Obviously, he knew that there was a world of difference between his identity and Mojave's. One was just a manager with no status, while the other was indeed the crown prince of Jiangqing. He was the overlord of the entertainment industry. If he could complete it, he could get more points. If he couldn't complete it, then forget it. The firepower of this mission was focused on Maydol. With regards to this plot, Ning Shu could only look at the sky. It seemed that he still needed to increase his strength. As for Qin Shi being raped in the end, it was obviously premeditated. It was probably ordered by Mojave. For someone like Mojave, he could just casually take out a stack of money and people would work for him. Ning Shu took a tissue from the head of the bed and wiped his snot. He sat on the bed and prepared to cultivate. Then, Ning Shu found that the spiritual qi in this world was so little that it made his hair stand on end. He could only cultivate a tiny bit of qi strength. Although it was only a little bit of qi gene, his whole body felt relaxed. He was sweating all over and his head wasn't as heavy as before. He was just a little hungry. Ning Shu washed up and went to the kitchen to find something to eat. In the fridge, he found a takeaway that had been there for a long time. Ning Shu smelled it and felt that it wasn't bad, so he ate it for dinner. As she ate, she took out her phone. There were a few messages on her phone. They were all from the artists under her, asking if she was feeling better. Ning Shu didn't reply to the messages. After eating, he took out the original owner's notebook and recorded important things. Chapter 292. Ning Shu perked up and flipped through the original owner's thick notebook. There were a lot of things in there. There was a plan for each artist under her, and a careful analysis of each artist's personality and what kind of path was suitable for them. She even wrote down when there was a job and took care of each artist. Managers like Qin Shi who weren't famous were the most tired. Moreover, she had many artists under her management. Those golden managers who had produced superstars didn't easily manage people anymore. Qin Shi was just an ordinary manager. To put it bluntly, a manager's job was to help the entertainment company make money from the stars. Ning Shu understood the general situation. Her head hurt a little, so she sat on the bed and continued to cultivate. However, the spiritual energy in this world was very little. Cultivating here didn't have the carefree feeling of the previous world. Moreover, it was difficult to use qi gene. She was used to breaking stones with a single step. Now that she was so weak, Ning Shu was really not used to it. Fortunately, the strength in this body was slowly increasing. With the combination of martial arts, it was no problem to take down a big man. After cultivating for a night, Ning Shu felt much better. She was ready to go to work. At least for now, she was still in control of Maydol's fate. She was going to be a manager. Maybe one day she would be able to do 360 jobs. Just as Ning Shu was about to leave, the doorbell rang. She opened the door and saw 5 of her artistes. They were all carrying fruits in their hands. When they entered, the small apartment became a little crowded. "Sister Qin, are you feeling better?" Ning Shu asked a boy. This boy didn't look very old, at most 20 years old. His skin was very white, like the popular little fresh meat. Although he was young, he had a lot of thoughts. He always asked Qin Shi for jobs and wanted to become famous. Ning Shu smiled and said, "Much better. You don't have to come and see me. I'm going to the company soon." Ning Shu said, glancing at Maydol who was standing at the back. Maydol was the kind of girl with a well-proportioned body and a small frame. Her facial features weren't very delicate, but together they always looked very pure and lively. The original Qin Shi fancied her clean temperament, but she didn't expect Maydol to not only look pure, but also have a pure heart. It was a thankless task, and in the end, Maydol even complained about it. "Sister Qin, why don't you rest a bit more? We can go to the physique room to train." "It's fine," Joey Ning Shu said. Joey's tone was sincere, and of course, he was trying to please her. The entertainment industry was very particular about seniority. Moreover, she now had some resources in her hands. However, there were so many people. If you divided it among yourself, you wouldn't have it. There was no lack of private infighting. That's right. Sister Chin, you should rest well. If you tire yourself out, we'll all be heartbroken, Xia Yi quickly added. Several artists expressed their feelings to Ning Shu, leaving only Maidol. Joey nudged Maidol. Maidol took 2 steps forward and said to Ning Shu, Sister Chin, I'm sorry. I got you into trouble this time. You didn't get me into trouble. You did something wrong, and the company also blamed me. I was actually doing it for myself. Ning Shu said lightly, since you've chosen this glamorous job that revolves around flowers and applause, then you have to accept its dark side and rules. I know, Sister Chin. Xia Yi followed. Ning Shu basically had girls in his hands, and Xia Yi was the only boy. Moreover, Xia Yi was young, so he often acted coquettishly to Chen Shi in an attempt to get more jobs. Chen Shi had been an agent for a few years, so she wasn't interested in Xia Yi's coquettishness. She also didn't have any extra jobs for him. If she made an exception once, she would do it again next time. Maidol lowered her head slightly. Hearing Ning Shu talk about the dark side and rules, she didn't seem to care. Ning Shu didn't say much and let them leave. After the few of them left the room, their expressions changed. The atmosphere was no longer as harmonious as before. Xia Yi snorted and left first. The other 2 girls also left, leaving Qiao Yi and my duo behind. Joey glanced at Maidol and asked, Do you want to go in with me? My duo hesitated for a moment before nodding. Seeing her like this, Qiao Yi said with some indignation, Sister Chen caught a cold because of you. Why do you look so reluctant? Maidol looked at Joey and pursed her lips. She said, I know Sister Chen did it for me, but what Sister Chen asked me to do may not be what I want to do. She just wanted to act and didn't want such complicated things. However, Chen Shi never arranged for her to go for auditions. She always had to eat and drink with some strange, fat people. There were all kinds of banquets. It was simply a waste of time. Joey pressed the doorbell. Ning Shu opened the door and saw Joey and Maidol. He was surprised. Is there anything else? Sister Chen, nothing. I just want to talk to you. Joey and Maidol entered the room. Ning Shu actually hadn't eaten breakfast yet. He only took a piece of fruit from an artist and took a bite. He said to the 2 girls, If you want to eat, help yourself. What do you want to talk to me about? Sister Chen, I want to walk the path of music. Joey summoned up her courage and said to Ning Shu. Since she entered the company, she had to walk the path that the company packaged. Joey had an intellectual temperament. The company packaged her to walk the path of an actor. Ning Shu thought for a moment and said, Okay, if you want to walk the path of music, go learn a musical instrument first. I will plan a course with you. Learn first, it's not easy to think about songs. Joey didn't expect Ning Shu to agree so readily. She was very surprised. She stood up and bowed to Ning Shu. Thank you, Sister Chin. Ning Shu was actually under a lot of pressure to change the path of an artist. He had to face the pressure of the company, but in order to keep his job, he had to make some achievements. Sister Chin, I want to act. Maidol saw that Ning Shu agreed to Joey and immediately said. Ning Shu nodded. Okay, I will take you to the audition tomorrow. Thank you, Sister Chin. Maidol said happily. Her eyes were curved and looked very pure. Ning Shu just smiled indifferently. After achieving her goal, Maidol left first. Ning Shu looked at Maidol's back. With Maidol's EQ, she would definitely be screwed over in the entertainment industry. Moreover, she didn't know how to interact with people. If she hadn't met Mojave, who solved everything for her, Maidol wouldn't have become so popular and won the title of Best Actress. Maybe Maidol would have succeeded, but it wouldn't have been so easy. Maidol's path to stardom was steadily rising, and it couldn't have been without Mojave's support. This was actually the story of a small actress who became famous after being taken care of by a sugar daddy. Chapter 293. After Maidol left, Ning Shu and Joey agreed on the course of study. Since he wanted to walk the path of music, he must learn to play a musical instrument. Joey chose the piano. Ning Shu felt that Joey's temperament was very suitable for the piano. In the following period of time, Joey would not accept any jobs. He would practice his vocal cords and singing. At least 3 months, Joey would not have any income. Can you accept this? Ningshu asked. The company would not release an album for a newcomer who wanted to be a singer. Moreover, he had to find someone to compose the lyrics and music. It was simply impossible to invest so much resources on a newcomer. If you are determined to walk this path, you have to take it slow. Ningshu said, practice your kung fu first. Without income for half a year was a test for Ningshu and Joey. Once an artist could not make money, the company would not pour resources on the artist. If there was no opportunity, the artist would have no chance to show his or her talent, and there would be no money to earn. Without money, the company would give up. The original owner, Chen Shi, wanted her artist to develop better. She had to let the company see the value of the artist. She had to let the company feel that the artist could bring more benefits to the company. Only then would the company value the artist and cultivate him or her. If Joey wanted to walk the path of music, he would need at least half a year to learn. Ningshu sighed and looked at Joey. Think about it. Joey bent his fingers and said, Sister Chen, I am willing to listen to you. I want to sing. I have no motivation to do other things. Ningshu nodded. Let's plan it. Ningshu and Joey had agreed on the curriculum. Joey had filled up his own curriculum. In total, he could only rest for 8 hours a day. Ningshu felt that he was working hard. But Joey looked very happy. It seemed that fighting for what he liked was completely different from being forced to do it. Ningshu had to apply for Joey's classes with the company. After all, there were so many artists in the company. Artists who made money were the first priority. It was so realistic. After Joey left, Ningshu drove to the company to apply for these courses for Joey. As expected, half of the courses were not approved, and only 1/3 were approved. Joey did not earn money under Ningshu. He only occasionally attended some events, and the event management would give him some appearance fees. Joey did not have any good works. When he was an actor, he just played some unmemorable roles. This time, Joey had suddenly changed his direction. Ningshu was taking a huge risk. Every year, the company had to calculate the situation of the artists. Joey would not be earning profits for the company for half a year. Instead, he would be consuming the company's resources. One could imagine the pressure on Ningshu's shoulders. Joey knew that Ningshu did not apply for many classes for him. He was not unhappy. After all, he was satisfied to be able to walk the path he liked. Ningshu was actually quite satisfied with Qiao Yi. Compared to Mador, Qiao Yi was a smart girl who could see the big picture. Except for Joey, Madol, and Xia Yi, Ningshu did not need to worry about the other 2 artists under him. After being in the entertainment circle for so long, he knew what he needed to know. It was just that they were not popular. They could make money, but they were the kind of artists who could not make a lot of money. Therefore, the original Chen Shi did not have any artists who could support the scene. When he saw Madol, Chen Shi wanted to make Madol into his face and trump card. If there was no accident, Chen Shi should be regarded as Madol's talent scout. However, the two had different views and could not talk about it. Chen Shi had been in the entertainment circle for a long time and was familiar with the rules of the entertainment circle. However, Madol was just a young girl with a low EQ. She was very dissatisfied with her manager. No wonder Chen Shi was unwilling to promote Madol. Madol had the potential to be an ungrateful person. Ningshu told Joey to focus on his studies and not worry about other things. Joey said to Ningshu, "It's okay if there are fewer classes. When I have time, I can rush to work. I won't make it difficult for Sister Chen." Look, this was a smart person. Ningshu nodded. This way, he could take care of both sides. The next day, Ningshu had not even gotten up when the doorbell rang. He opened the door and saw Madol. Madol was wearing a white dress. Her waist outlined her beautiful curves. Coupled with her pure and lovely face, it felt like a fresh lily in front of him. It seemed that Madol had dressed up seriously. When she saw Ningshu, the first thing she said was, "Sister Chen, yesterday you said that you would take me to the audition today." Ningshu raised his wrist and looked. It was only 6 in the morning. She was in such a hurry. Ningshu said faintly, "Don't worry. The audition is at 9. Maydol's expression was a bit anxious, but she still restrained herself. She entered the room and sat on the sofa with some restraint. She watched Ning Shu calmly prepare breakfast. You know how to make breakfast? Ning Shu asked Maydol. Ning Shu realized that he did not know how to cook at all. After experiencing several worlds, he did not learn how to cook. Maydol shook her head to show that she did not know how to cook either. Ning Shu finally got some juice and drank some milk. From the beginning to the end, Maydol kept looking at Ning Shu. Her pair of watery eyes were clearly clear, but it made people's hearts itch. No wonder Mojave, who was used to the dark and dirty entertainment industry, fell for Maydol. Some people just looked pure. After breakfast, Ning Shu brought Maydol to the set. Maydol sat in the front passenger seat. Ning Shu asked nervously, Sister Chen, what role do I have to audition for? What role do you want to audition for? You just entered the entertainment industry. There are some important roles that you might not be able to get. Everything has to be done step by step. Ning Shu said with an indifferent expression. Seeing Ning Shu's cold expression, Maydol felt wronged. She said, no matter what role it is, I can take it. But Sister Chen, I don't want to take that kind of role. What kind of role is that? As she turned the steering wheel, she glanced at Maydol, who was blushing. It's that kind of type role. Maydol bit her lips. Sister Chen, I want to be a good actress. I don't want to sell my body. Ning Shu nodded. I have never thought of finding you such a role. You are now a brand new person. The role you take may be very tiring. Maydol quickly nodded and said excitedly, Sister Chen, I am not afraid of hardships. I can take any hardships. Ning Shu nodded. When they arrived at the set, Ning Shu went to the director to ask for a cameo role, no matter what role it was. The director looked at Maydol and directly gave Maydol the role of a female beggar. Chapter 294. A female beggar? Maydol's face stiffened. How could she be a beggar? Maydol was a young girl after all. Although she said that she could accept any role other than those that sold her body, she still couldn't accept it in her heart. Maydol looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu said indifferently, if you don't want to act, then forget it. We'll go to other sets and see if there are any suitable roles. You're a newbie. You'll need to stabilize yourself step by step. If you really want to be an actress, these inconspicuous roles can help you train your acting skills. Ning Shu seemed to be really considerate of my... Maydol bit her lips and said firmly to Ning Shu, I understand, Sister Chen. Once my agreed to play the role of a beggar, a makeup artist came over to help her put on makeup. She asked my to take off her white dress and change into dirty, tattered clothes. Her smooth hair was messy, and there was something dirty on her head. Her face was covered in soot, and it was impossible to tell who she was. Looking at herself in the mirror, Maydol almost broke down. How could she look like this? Especially when Maydol looked at the female lead of the movie. She was wearing a beautiful ancient costume, and her long hair fluttered in the wind. She was incomparably beautiful. Compared to herself, she was like heaven and earth. This made Maydol feel sour in her heart. Maydol looked at her manager, who was smiling at her not far away. She took a deep breath and prepared to act well. Through her own efforts, she would definitely become an actress and act in beautiful clothes. She would definitely ask her manager to find a good role for her. Maydol's role actually had quite a lot of scenes. She begged the female lead of the movie, and the female lead gave her dry food. Maydol only had 2 lines. Please give me some food, Mississippi. Thank you, Mississippi. Maydol, who was acting for the first time, was very nervous and excited. Standing beside Ning Shu could feel her body trembling slightly. Ning Shu comforted her, it's okay. Just do your best. When it was Maydol's turn, the stage supervisor came over and told Maydol to sleep on the side of the road while he waited for the leading actress. Maydol's body was very stiff. Her posture of lying on the ground was also very stiff. Moreover, there were a lot of people around her. The dust caused by their footsteps made it difficult for Maydol to breathe. That beggar over there, your body is a little limp. You must be too hungry now. The director shouted at Maydol through the loudspeaker. Maydol's body became even stiffer. Lying on the ground like a piece of wood, the director was very angry. He directly told Maydol to turn her back to the camera. That was much better. Ning Shu watched from the side. If that was the case, Maydol would not have two lines. When the director shouted to start, Maydol had been lying on the ground. Hearing the director's voice, her head was buzzing. Her palms were sweaty, and she did not dare to move. The female lead stood in front of Maydol and said, "This person is so pitiful." As she spoke, she put her dry food in the broken bowl in front of Maydol. Seeing that the person lying on the ground did not respond, the female lead reached out and pushed Maydol, who was dressed as a beggar, and asked, "Are you okay? There's food now." "Kaka." The director shouted angrily through the loudspeaker. Hearing the director's voice, Maydol's body trembled. She hurriedly got up from the ground and apologized to the director. "I'm sorry. It's all my fault. You are now a beggar. You have been hungry for many days. The first thing you do when you see food is to grab it and eat it. Why do you have no reaction at all? Do you even know how to act? Any extra would be better than you." The director would not be polite to Maydol just because she was a woman. Moreover, Maydol was now dirty all over. Her face was covered in dirt, and she did not look like a human at all. Therefore, there was no need for him to pity her. Maydol was scolded by the director until she was covered in cold sweat. She felt wronged and was about to cry. Ning Shu walked over and said, "Director, my girl has caused you trouble. Please give her another chance." She did not grasp the rhythm before. The director snorted. "Let's start from where we started. Continue." The female lead put the dry food in front of Maydol's bowl. Maydol stiffly turned around and grabbed the dry food in the bowl. Maydol did not know what the dry food was made of. Moreover, it was placed in such a dirty bowl. Maydol hesitantly took a bite of the dry food and almost spat it out. "Kaka." The director's voice roared again. He pointed at Maydol and shouted, "Take a big bite and swallow it." "What are you doing?" "Stage supervisor, this person is not good. Replace her." Maydol's nose twitched and she almost burst into tears. She looked at Ning Shu pitifully. Ning Shu looked indifferent. He turned around and said to the director, "Director, this is the last time. If she is not good enough this time, you can fire her." The director's face looked very bad and his eyes were very fierce. "I have never seen such a stupid person. She is as stupid as a pig." Once again, Maydol stuffed the dry food into her mouth. She even felt that her teeth were knocked by the sand. This time, the director barely made it. When she heard the director's words, Maydol spat out the food in her mouth and tears fell down. She was very sad, very sad. Seeing the female lead in gorgeous clothes walking slowly in front of her, Maydol felt that something had broken out of her heart. Ning Shu walked over to help Maydol up and said, "Go and change your clothes. You are tired today. Go back and have a good rest." Ning Shu looked at my duo's face, which was covered in dust and tears. Her face was simply unsightly. Ning Shu took out a piece of tissue and let my duo wipe her face clean. "Sister Chin, don't you think I am very useless?" Today's incident had a great impact on Maydol. She thought that being an actress was her dream, and she also thought that she was talented, but now she just wanted to cry. Ning Shu just comforted her. "Take it slow." Maydol went in to change her clothes. When she came out, she was wearing a white dress. The dress was full of black marks, and Maydol's neck was also black. Anyway, she had played a beggar, so she was dirty all over. Ning Shu got in the car and Maydol followed. As soon as she got in the car, Maydol began to cry. Maydol couldn't stand it anymore. She met Mojave and had sex with Mojave, who was a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. From then on, her path to stardom was smooth. When others were struggling, Maydol didn't suffer at all. Mojave was Maydol's golden finger. She always brought my duo to all kinds of banquets and dinners because she didn't want my duo to suffer like this. If a director or producer took a fancy to my duo and felt that my duo was suitable for a role, they would let my duo play a role. Perhaps Chin Shi's style was a bit radical, but it wasn't as bad as Maydol said. At least she didn't let her artists climb into other people's bed. Chapter 295. To a certain extent, Maydol had sold her body to achieve success, but Maydol had always looked down on other actresses who had no self-respect and self-respect. Since you want to rely on your own strength to achieve success, I'll fulfill your wish. In the car, Maydol cried for a while and stopped. Looking at Ning Shu's cold face, she only felt a little cold and very tired. When they arrived at the apartment, Ning Shu sent Maydol into the house. In the house, Joey was listening to music with headphones. When he saw Ning Shu and Maydol, he quickly took off his headphones. "What happened to you?" Joey saw Maydol in such a sorry state and asked in surprise. Maydol saw that Joey was so comfortable while she was in such a sorry state. Maydol said nothing and went into the bathroom to take a shower. Maydol and Joey were newcomers. This kind of small apartment was specially for newcomers. If an artist made money and became famous, the company would redistribute the villa. Of course, the artist could also buy a mansion if he or she had the money. Maydol and Joey were both under Chen Shi, so the company let them live together. Chen Shi's room was also in this small apartment. Ning Shu sat on the sofa and asked Joey, "How's your study?" "It's very good. Thank you, Sister Chen, for giving me this opportunity." Joey smiled and said sincerely to Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded. "Good luck. Our fates are intertwined. I want you to become famous and earn money more than anyone else. Sister Chen, I will do my best." Joey's condition was very good. Ning Shu said, "Sister Chen, I wrote a song and composed it myself. Can you take a look at it for me?" Ning Shu waved his hand. "I'm not a professional. If you really want to see how the song is, go to the studio tomorrow and record it and post it on the internet." "I know, Sister Chen." Joey thought that this might be his first song, and that it was composed by himself. He was very excited. "There's an announcement in the mall the day after tomorrow. It's actually a show for models. You can go," Ning Shu said to Joey. Joey nodded and agreed without saying anything. Maydol, who was taking a shower in the bathroom, heard the sound outside. She stood under the shower and bit her lips tightly. She felt like crying. Maydol felt that her agent was ignoring her. Could it be because she apologized to Mojave last time and made Sister Chen unhappy? Her attitude towards her was cold and indifferent, but she said so much to Joey. When she thought of how embarrassed she was when she entered the room in front of Joey, Maydol felt a sense of self-loathing from the bottom of her heart. Why was she so useless? Thinking of this, Maydol wanted to cry again. She raised her head to the shower and forced the tears back. When Maydol came out, Ning Shu saw that Maydol's eyes and nose were a little red. It seemed that she had cried. Ning Shu comforted Maydol. "Don't worry, take it slow. No one is born to act. You're just a little green now. It'll be fine as long as you have experience." Maydol nodded and nodded with a nasal sound. Ning Shu just glanced at the gloomy Maydol indifferently and turned to leave. As soon as Ning Shu left, Maydol said to Joey sourly, "You're so comfortable. Sister Chen even signed you up for classes. Sister Chen won't accompany you to the audition." Joey frowned and said. Joey felt that Sister Chen was the best to Maydol. After all, Maydol was good-looking and had a clean temperament. Sister Chen would solve everything for her. What else could she be dissatisfied with? Maydol pursed her lips. How could that be called an audition? She was directly pulled to the set and then asked the director to arrange a role for her. Today's role made Maydol collapse. Maydol still felt the inexplicable taste of the dried food in her mouth. Even if she brushed her teeth all the time, she would still have the same taste. Could it be that acting was really like this? The female lead was wearing beautiful clothes and exquisite makeup. Why could she only act as a beggar? My duo was very unwilling to give up. On the other side, Ning Shu met Xia Yi, who was striking a cool pose by the door. Seeing Ning Shu come out, Xia Yi immediately pressed Ning Shu against the wall and said, "Beauty, do you want to go on a date with me?" Ning Shu's expression was indifferent. He directly pushed Xia Yi away and made Xia Yi step back. Xia Yi covered her chest. Ning Shu said, "Sister Chen, why are you so strong? Are you still a woman?" Ning Shu knew that Xia Yi was waiting for him. It was nothing more than asking about the work. The work was too complicated. It was a seamless day with no time to rest. Ning Shu looked at Xia Yi. Xia Yi said to Ning Shu with concern, "Sister Chen, how are you feeling? Don't spoil your body. Sister Chen, you're sick. Xia Yi is so sad. I really want to take your place." Xia Yi's eyes looked at Ning Shu as if they were real. Coupled with Xia Yi's handsome face, any young girl would have been mesmerized by Xia Yi in a minute. Ning Shu looked at Xia Yi without any reaction. It seemed that the acting was not interesting. Xia Yi stopped her performance and looked at Ning Shu with a pair of eager eyes. She said, "Sister Chen, they all have things to do, but I have nothing to do." "Nothing to do?" "Nothing to do but take selfies and post your handsome face on Weibo. With your face, you will gain fans in minutes. How can you have nothing to do?" Ning Shu looked at her and said, "Sister Chen, you don't love me now." If it were not for the difference between men and women, Xia Yi would have grabbed Ning Shu's arm and swung it. Ning Shu said angrily, "Can you speak properly? I originally wanted you to audition for a sports shoe advertisement. Now I take it back." "Don't, Sister Chen. In my heart, you are a person of noble character and unquestionable integrity. You shouldn't do such a capricious thing." Xia Yi immediately straightened her chest and said righteously. Ning Shu glanced at her and said, "I'll go to the audition with you the day after tomorrow. Work hard. If you have nothing to do these 2 days, wear sports shoes and run more to get the feeling. I won't let Sister Chen down. You fought so hard for the opportunity for me." Xia Yi's mouth was very sweet. Ning Shu clasped her hands behind her back and said, "Okay." Then she left. Back to his small apartment, Ning Shu's shoulders slumped as soon as he entered the door. He felt really tired. After eating something, Ning Shu went to sleep first. After all, this body was still suffering from a serious cold. He forced himself to work and felt that he was the nanny of these artists. He had to take care of all the trivial things. In 2 days, the banquet where Mojave and Maydol were entangled would be held. However, this time, Ning Shu did not plan to take Maydol to the banquet. Instead, he asked the other 2 female artists to go. Although there would be an unbreakable connection between the male lead and the female lead, Ning Shu did not plan to let them contact each other so soon. Let Maydol suffer first. Chapter 296. The next morning, Ning Shu went to find Maydol and prepared to take her to the audition. In the next few days, Ning Shu planned to take Maydol to various sets for auditions. When they arrived at Maydol's apartment, Maydol was watching TV. Her eyes were fixed on the people on TV. She was obviously trying to figure out how others acted. Ning Shu walked over and said, "It's useless to just watch. You have to immerse yourself in the situation and slowly figure it out. Let's go to the audition today." At the mention of the audition, Maydol's face paled a little. Ning Shu said, "Sister Chen, can we find a gentler director? Yesterday's director was so fierce." Yesterday, Maydol was almost scolded to tears by that director. Ning Shu said faintly, "Now, they're the ones picking us, not the other way around. Every actor has to go through this process. Unless you have a big background or a big shot, or at the very least, you have to be popular right now. Otherwise, why should others be polite to you? Endure slowly, you'll eventually succeed." Ning Shu comforted Maydol. But Maydol wasn't comforted by her manager at all. Instead, there was a trace of shadow in her heart. Ning Shu pulled Maydol to the set. On the way, Maydol's face didn't look very good. Ning Shu said, "Sister Chen, I want to rush to an event first, then I want to sign up for acting training. I don't know anything about acting, so I'll always be scolded." "Sister Chen, you've already signed up for voice training for Joey. I also want to sign up for acting training." Maydol looked at Ning Shu, who was driving. Her voice had a trace of undetectable pleading. Last time, when she was paid 50 yuan to play a minor role, she wanted to tear the 50 yuan apart. Even if they didn't pay, Maydol didn't feel so embarrassed. She didn't tell Chen Shi about the 50 yuan deal. Ning Shu turned her head and glanced at my duo. Then she looked forward and said, "You are an artist under me. I hope that you can develop well. As for taking acting classes, it is really unnecessary. No matter how much they teach you, it is useless. Acting is something that you have to learn by yourself. No one can teach you. Find your own sense of the camera and work hard to make your character vivid. You will learn a lot from acting with these seniors. There's nothing better than learning on the set. There are your seniors here. You should learn from them. You're going to enter the entertainment industry sooner or later. Why don't you familiarize yourself with this kind of environment earlier? Ning Shu logically analyzed to Maydol. Maydol was rendered speechless by Ning Shu. Although her agent was always considerate of her, Maydol felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Her agent didn't care about her feelings at all. When they arrived at the set, Ning Shu told the director to find a role for his artist. Any role would be fine. It could hone his artist's acting skills. This director was even more extreme than the previous one. He directly made Maydol a stand-in for a female star in a martial arts scene. If she wore the same clothes as the female star, she wouldn't even have to show her own face. Ning Shu was gloating in his heart, but on the surface, he hesitated. He turned his head and looked at the pale Maydol and said, "What do you think? If you don't want to, then forget it." Maydol's mouth tasted bitter. Ning Shu asked, "Why didn't the female star do it herself? Why did she find a stand-in?" "Because hanging from a wire is very difficult. She has already made a name for herself. Some of the more difficult things don't need to do. The director will take care of it for her," Ning Shu said faintly. His words were very direct. Maydol bit her lips and nodded reluctantly. "I'll try." Ning Shu nodded and comforted Maydol. "Today's hardships are all for the glory in the future. I believe that you can rely on your own efforts to become an existence that people look up to. I have high hopes for you." Maydol's face was pale. The corners of her mouth twitched. "It's not like you're the one doing it." Maydol even had something similar to resentment towards the agent who said that. Maydol was very afraid of being scolded by the director. She even had a trace of fear in her heart. A makeup artist took Maydol to do her makeup. When they came out again, Maydol was already wearing the same clothes as the female star. This time, she wore beautiful clothes, but she couldn't even show her face. A staff member tied a pressure wire to Maydol's waist and a prop sword was stuffed into Maydol's hand. The director told Maydol, "Make it more exciting later." Maydol's face was pale. She said, "Director, I know." Start. Maydol was lifted into the air. Maydol let out a miserable scream. She felt as if the wire had twisted her internal organs and was about to be embedded in her ribs. It was very painful. The most frightening thing was that Maydol was swaying by the wire and wanted to vomit. When the other party flew over to fight with Maydol, Maydol had a silly look on her face. She didn't seem to know what to do and her hands and feet were weak. "What's the matter with the double? Fight with the other party." The director shouted at Maydol. Maydol was very uncomfortable. She shouted weakly, "I can't do it. I really can't do it." When Maydol was put down, she fell directly to the ground. Her hands and feet were weak. Ning Shu walked over to support Maydol. "What's the matter? You can't even wave the prop twice? Can you do it or not? If you can't, I'll replace you. It's a waste of everyone's time." The director frowned and shouted impatiently, "I'm sorry, director. We can't do this." Ning Shu helped Maydol to the side. Maydol, who walked to the side, vomited and her face was as pale as paper. Ning Shu opened a bottle of mineral water and gave it to Maydol. After resting for a while, my duer seemed to have caught her breath, but her face was still pale. Ning Shu saw this and didn't say anything. Maydol had never suffered like this. Whether Maydol admitted it or not, her success was because of Mojave. Mojave doted on her very much. For this kind of hanging by wire, he always found a double. Then the two of them would be lovey-dovey next to each other. Naturally, there would be a double to shoot the suffering scenes for her. People who had never suffered were not qualified to despise others. "Sister Chin, I won't hang by wire in the future." My duo, said in a fit of pique. In fact, she had a problem with Ning Shu. As an agent in the entertainment industry, she knew how painful it was to hang on a wire, but Ning Shu didn't even remind her. Ning Shu looked at her, nodded and said, "Work hard. If you become a top person, you won't have to suffer like this." Maidol was very impatient. Why did she always shoot such inexplicable scenes? It made Maidol feel very tired and unable to continue. Chapter 297. Anyway, Maidol was full of resentment now. She felt that she shouldn't be like this. How could she be like this? Maidol was now very dissatisfied with her agent. Why did she always take on these kinds of roles for her? Maidol felt that her agent didn't care about her at all. But if she said that she didn't care, even if she was just a small role, her agent would follow her and take care of her. To put it bluntly, Maidol just resented Ning Shu for not finding her a better role. When changing clothes, Maidol saw that her abdomen and heart were bleeding because of the wire. She coughed and felt that her lungs were a little painful. Out of the dressing room, Maidol didn't say a word to Ning Shu and got into the car. Ning Shu smiled faintly, got into the driver's seat, and drove back to the apartment. After a while, Maidol said to Ning Shu, "Sister Chen, I heard that there's a party tomorrow night. I want to go. I can't go to the set tomorrow. I lost the wire today and I'm not feeling well." Ning Shu looked at Maidol with some surprise and said in surprise, "Don't you hate these kinds of occasions the most?" The party tomorrow night was the night Mojave and Maidol were entangled in the plot. Ning Shu didn't think of taking her, and he definitely wouldn't let her appear at the party. Ning Shu didn't expect Maidol to take the initiative to mention it. He didn't know if it was because she didn't want to play a small role and work hard, or because she suffered these 2 days and had other thoughts in her heart. She was no longer as noble as before. No matter what Maidol thought in her heart, Ning Shu wouldn't agree. He said, "Since you're not feeling well, you don't have to go to such an occasion. You don't have to go to the set tomorrow. Have a good rest tomorrow." "Sister Chin, are you still blaming me for causing trouble for you last time?" "This time I promise to be obedient and not give you any trouble," Maidol said to Liang Mang. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "Why do you suddenly want to go to the banquet?" "Previously I was ignorant. Sister Chin also wanted me to know more people." Maidol looked at Ning Shu with incomparably clear eyes, full of sincerity. Ning Shu ignored her gaze. "I'm not a man, so there's no use for you to look at me like that." Ning Shu said indifferently, "There will be plenty of such banquets in the future. Your health is more important. I've found a CD acting course for you from the company. I'll watch it with you tomorrow." Maidol felt very irritated. This agent could be said to be considerate of her in every way, but why did she feel so aggrieved in her heart? Previously, she didn't want to go to any banquet and insisted that she go. Now that she wanted to go and see the world, she refused to let her go no matter what and used all kinds of reasons to stop her. Maidol felt that she was at odds with her agent. After returning to the apartment, Maidol took a shower and lay on the bed to sleep. She covered her head with the quilt, as if she didn't want to see anyone. Ning Shu told Joey, who lived with Maidol, "Take care of Maidol. She was injured during filming today." As soon as Ning Shu finished his words, Maidol's angry voice came from the bedroom. "You don't have to take care of me. I'm not injured at all." Obviously, Maidol was very angry that Ning Shu had exposed her in front of Joey. Maidol felt very embarrassed when Joey found out that she was in such a mess. She and Joey were originally competitors, competing for the resources in the agent's hands. Ning Shu ignored Maidol, who was angry out of shame. He really told Joey to take care of Maidol and call him if anything happened. Coming out of the apartment, Ning Shu hurriedly drove to pick up Xia Yi, who was going to audition for the sports shoes advertisement. He didn't stop for a moment. After sending Xia Yi to the audition place, Ning Shu encouraged Xia Yi and then waited outside. Ning Shu felt that he had waited for a long time before Xia Yi came out with no expression on her face. Ning Shu felt that Xia Yi didn't succeed. Xia Yi got in the car. Suddenly, Ning Shu smiled happily and said excitedly, "Sister Chen, I'm going to shoot the advertisement. I'm going to shoot the advertisement." Xia Yi was very excited. She hammered her chest with her fist like Tarzan. Ning Shu also smiled. This should be the biggest breakthrough for Xia Yi. With the advertisement, her popularity would increase a lot. Ning Shu told Xia Yi to think more about the advertisement when she was free and to shoot the advertisement in her best state. Ning Shu didn't know about this, so he could only let Xia Yi think about it herself. Some things were supposed to be done by an artist. As an agent, her job was to manage these artists well and get more resources for them from the company. On the way, Xia Yi was in a state of excitement. Ning Shu received a call from Joey, who said that Maidol went out of the apartment. Joey couldn't stop her, so he called Ning Shu at once. And Maidol didn't say where she was going. Ning Shu hung up the phone and called Maidol at once. But Maidol's phone was turned off. Ning Shu suddenly had a bad feeling. There was a connection between the male lead and the female lead. Now Maidol could meet Mojave even if she went out casually. Back at the apartment, Ning Shu asked Joey, "What happened?" Maidol, who was sleeping, got up and was about to go out with her bag. I asked her where she was going, but she ignored me. I couldn't stop her. Joey frowned and said to Ning Shu, "Sister Chin, why do I feel that Maidol is not in a good state recently?" In the past, Maidol was noble and virtuous, but she didn't talk to her with jealousy like now. It was really strange. Ning Shu didn't think much about it and asked Joey to look around his apartment. But Joey couldn't get through to her phone again. After looking around, they didn't find her. When they returned to the apartment, Maidol was sitting on the sofa, supporting her chin with her hand. Seeing Maidol like this, Ning Shu was very impatient. Didn't she know that her behavior brought trouble to others? "Where did you go? Why couldn't I get through to your phone?" Ning Shu asked Maidol coldly. Maidol looked at Ning Shu, who was serious and indifferent, and then looked at Joey, who was standing beside Ning Shu. Maidol felt very wronged. She really wanted to change her agent, a biased agent. "I just went out for a walk. The apartment is too stuffy. Can't I go out? I'm not a prisoner." Maidol's voice contained a trace of anger. Ning Shu said, "I didn't say that you can't go out. You should tell me where you are going. You are an artist under me. I am responsible for your safety. When you signed the contract, it was clearly written in the contract that the artist must keep in touch at all times, so that the agent can inform you." Maidol grabbed her hair in annoyance and said, "I just went out for a walk. I don't want to inform anyone. It's not so serious. I'm not your prisoner." Maidol stood up and was about to go back to her room, but when she walked, she was limping. Chapter 298. Ning Shu saw that Maidol had gone out for a walk and came back with an injured leg. She was limping. Ning Shu immediately asked, "Maidol, what happened to your leg?" Maidol's face was a little unnatural. She said, "It's nothing. I just fell and hurt my knee." Maidol instinctively did not want to tell Ning Shu what had happened. Ning Shu walked over and lifted Maidol's skirt. Seeing that her knee was scratched, Ning Shu squinted at Maidol. "Treat the wound first and disinfect it." Xiao Yi immediately brought over the medical kit. Ning Shu did not hold back at all. She dipped a cotton ball in alcohol and rubbed it on my duo's wound. My duo was in so much pain that she hissed and gasped. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Tell me, how did you get this wound? You suddenly got injured, and you can't take many jobs. You have to give me an explanation." Ning Shu said lightly. Maidol felt wronged. She was injured, and her agent was still talking about jobs. He was a cold-blooded exploiter, a vampire. Thinking of the person who bumped into her today, that condescending and arrogant look made my duo gnash her teeth in hatred. Maidol was so upset that she could not sleep in bed. In addition to the experience of acting in the past 2 days, Maidol was mentally and physically exhausted. She got up and was ready to go out for a walk. When she crossed the road, she did not notice the red light and was almost hit by a car. Maidol also hurt her knee. She did not expect that the driver was that annoying Mojave. When Mojave got out of the car, Maidol clearly felt that Mojave's eyes were full of contempt. Women nowadays are more and more desperate to climb the ladder. They even don't care about their lives. Mo Juefeng squatted down and lifted my duo's chin. He sized her up and said, "I'm not interested in a woman like you. You want to attract my attention in such a way? That's too low. Last time, you spilled wine on me. This time, you got into an accident. Don't expect me to send you to the hospital. Maidol listened to Mojave's insult to her. She was so angry that her chest heaved and her lungs were about to explode. Seeing Mojave write a check and throw it to her, Maidol picked up the check on the ground and tore it up without thinking. Enduring the pain in her leg, Maidol said coldly to Mojave, "I don't want your money. I was just taking a walk. I didn't want to hit your car. There are so many cars here. How would I know which car is yours? And I'm not bored to follow you." Mador limped away on her own leg. Mojave narrowed his eyes and looked at Maidol's back. He sneered and rubbed his hand on his lips. My duo was already very annoyed. First, she was treated as a woman who used underhanded means to climb up the social ladder. Now, she was being interrogated by her manager as if she was a criminal. Maidol said coldly to Ningshu, "Sister Chen, I'm a human, not a money-making machine. I have emotions too. What's wrong with me going out for a walk? I'm not a prisoner. I don't need you to guard me everywhere. Do you know how annoyed I am?" Maidol broke down. She picked up the pillow on the sofa and smashed it on the ground. Then she curled into a ball and cried. Seeing that Maidol was so emotional, Joey looked at Ningshu. Ningshu just twitched the corner of his mouth. He didn't know what Maidol was suffering. She only allowed her actions to bring trouble to others, but she didn't allow others to ask her a single question. It was as if she had done something to her. How big of a deal was it? It was as if the sky was falling down. Sure enough, the female lead should live a happy life under the male lead's wings. How could a beautiful bird be tortured and destroyed by the outside world? Ningshu felt that he hadn't done anything yet, but Maidol was already like this. Since you don't want to talk about it, then forget it. Go and have a good rest. Ningshu comforted Maidol and said, "As for the money-making machine you said, you actually don't make money. Do you know? My performance this year didn't pass." Maidol's body stiffened. Her agent was really cold-blooded. She only cared about money, 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 and nothing else. Now, Maidol had a new goal in her heart. She wanted to make a name for herself and then kick this cold-blooded agent out. Maidol took a deep breath. Ningshu said, "Sister Chen, I know. I will work hard." Ningshu smiled and patted Maidol's shoulder. He said with a faint smile, "It's good that you understand. If you don't make a name for yourself, you won't have human rights. If you don't climb the pyramid, you won't have human rights. Without a strong background and strength, you can only succeed by working harder than others. However, working hard doesn't guarantee success. As your agent, I want you to succeed." When Maidol heard Ningshu talking about a strong background and strength, she was in a trance. She broke into the entertainment circle alone. There were no relatives in the entertainment circle. How could she have a backer? Maidol took a deep breath. Even if she didn't have a strong backer, she would definitely succeed. Ningshu just looked at Maidol's colorful expression indifferently. He asked Joey to go to the music class and accompanied Maidol. No one said anything. After a while, Maidol said to Ningshu, "Thank you, Sister Chen. I'm much better now. I want to rest first." "Well, pay attention to the wound." Ningshu helped Maidol back to the room and reiterated to Maidol, "In the future, you must keep in touch with us. If there is a next time, the company can only terminate your contract. If you disappear like this, it will cause a lot of trouble." Maidol was already lying on the bed. When she heard that the contract was terminated, she almost jumped out of bed. What would happen to her dream of being the best actress? Although she could go to other companies, Maidol still felt a little guilty. Although the agent didn't treat her well, she hadn't made a name for herself yet. She didn't know what the next agent would be like. What if she met an agent worse than the one in front of her? My duo, or was a person who went with the flow. Otherwise, when Mo Juefeng threatened to have sex with her, my duo, or had endured it. Fortunately, everyone was happy in the end. Her sugar daddy became her husband. Fortunately, the two of them were true love. Both love and career were fruitful. Sister Chen, I won't turn off my phone next time. Maidol hurriedly promised Ningshu. Ningshu nodded and tucked Maidol in the quilt. No expression could be seen on her face. It's good that you understand. Maybe I did something wrong, but it's all to give you a better future. Maydol's face stiffened and said, I know. I won't make things difficult for Sister Chin in the future. Good girl. Ning Shu turned and walked out of Maydol's bedroom. When she went out, she shrugged. At this time, she hurt herself. It seemed that Maydol really couldn't go to the banquet tomorrow night. Ning Shu suspected that Maydol didn't want to take the role and hurt herself, or something happened that she didn't know. Chapter 299. The next day, Ning Shu disinfected the abrasions on Maydol's legs, and then accompanied Maydol to watch the CD acting tutorial. Maydol seriously watched the LCD TV. Ning Shu looked out the window. The sky was already dark, and the banquet had already begun. Ning Shu glanced at Maydol beside him. He didn't know which woman would the drugged Mojave roll with tonight, or would he hold it in. But Ning Shu guaranteed that tonight, Mojave wouldn't be able to roll with Maydol. Ning Shu knew that he couldn't cut off the relationship between the male lead and female lead, but Ning Shu didn't want these two to have a substantial relationship so early. Maydol drank water and turned her head to see her agent staring at her. Her expression was a bit strange and asked, Sister Chin, what's wrong? Nothing, you watched the CD. How do you feel? Ning Shu casually asked. Maydol nodded and said, I feel like I learned a lot. That's good. The path of acting is very long. You need to learn a lot of things. Ning Shu said, drinking water and looking at the clock on the wall. Maydol continued to watch the CD. Her heart suddenly surged with an indescribable feeling. She felt like she suddenly lost something, and her heart suddenly became irritable. Maydol clutched her chest. Even breathing was difficult. She wanted to go out for a walk. She felt like she was suffocating in the room. Maydol didn't dare to negotiate with Ning Shu. She could only get up and walk around the room. Ning Shu looked at Maydol like this and asked, What's wrong? You want to sit down and watch the tutorial? Sister Chin, I don't know why my heart feels very uncomfortable. I can't breathe. Maydol tightly frowned. Sister Chin, can I go out for a walk? I feel very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. If you go out, you will meet Mojave. Ning Shu opened the floor-to-ceiling window and said to Maydol, Since the room is stuffy, come to the balcony. It's so late now. It's not safe for us two women to go out. For some reason, Maydol wanted to go out for a walk. But now that the agent's words were reasonable, Maydol couldn't refute. This made Maydol's heart even more anxious. Maydol stood beside Ning Shu and felt the night breeze. The inexplicable anxiety in her heart didn't lessen. Maydol always felt that something was far away from her, and it was something very important. It made her heart empty all of a sudden. What was wrong with this damn emotion? Maydol was very anxious the whole night. Ning Shu accompanied her for one night. The next day, Maydol looked haggard. Her clear eyes were a little dim. Obviously, she didn't sleep the whole night. Drink some milk. Ning Shu handed a cup of hot milk to Maydol. Maydol lazily took it and took a sip. Ning Shu said, Sister Chin, I don't know what's wrong. I'm really upset. It's okay. Have a good rest, Ning Shu said lightly. Ning Shu was very generous to let Maydol rest for a few more days. Moreover, Maydol's leg was a little injured, so she couldn't take on any more roles. Maydol was in a bad mood, but Ning Shu was in a good mood now. He temporarily broke up their relationship. In addition, Joey's original songs were doing very well on the internet. Recently, there was a talent show, and Joey wanted to have a try. Ning Shu applied to the company, and the company approved. Most of the time, Ning Shu accompanied Joey to take part in the competition. Then, he had to check on the shooting progress of Xia Yi's advertisement. Anyway, he was very busy. Compared with the other two newcomers who were thriving, Maydol seemed to have nothing to do. Seeing that the other two people were running ahead of her, Maydol was anxious. If the two people developed well, the resources in the hands of their agents would be given to them. It was related to her own future. No matter how noble Maydol was, she was anxious. She ran to ask Ning Shu if there were any roles that she wanted now. Besides, during this period of time, Maydol thought that her acting skills would not be scolded by the director anymore. Ning Shu was now busy with Joey's affairs. Some of the songs that Joey sang in the competition were self-composed. In addition, Joey could play the piano. Joey had an intellectual temperament and was very calm in everything he did. He could leave a good impression on people. When he took part in the talent show, he gained some fans. She had talent and drive. The more Joey fought, the braver she became. She had the aura of someone who could overcome all obstacles. The company had placed their attention on Joey. Obviously, they wanted to package Joey. If she got a good ranking, they would let Joey release an album. An artist could only be considered a singer if they released an album and it sold well. Now, Ning Shu was happy that he finally had a good artist under his management. Maidol anxiously asked him for a role, but Ning Shu just said that he would wait until Joey finished the competition. Maidol was suddenly unhappy. She bit her lips tightly. She felt that the agent was very biased. He helped Joey learn music and let Joey compete. Now, it was all on Joey. Maidol was very jealous. They were both artists under his management. Why was he so biased? He gave her roles that were bitter, tiring, and dirty. He treated Joey like a treasure in the palm of his hand. The difference in treatment was too much. Maidol looked at Ning Shu's attentive look as he handed Joey a towel and water. She was a little jealous. In the past, she gave a lot of resources to Maidol. Maidol didn't feel anything and blamed Shi for always bringing her to such unbearable occasions. If she wanted to act, she could act. But now, Ning Shu was a little biased, and Maidol couldn't stand it. Ning Shu deliberately ignored Maidol for a while before taking Maidol to the audition. Maidol summoned up her courage and asked Ning Shu, "Sister Chin, can I not play those small roles? I want to play a better role." There was no fame for playing small roles, and it was very difficult. Joey was now a little famous, but she still hadn't achieved anything. She wanted to present herself on the screen with the best attitude. Ning Shu looked at Maidol's anxious look. Her eyebrows were full of anxiety. Now, Maidol's mentality was unbalanced. Ning Shu saw it and asked Maidol, "What role do you want to play?" Maidol bit her lip and said to Ning Shu, "Sister Chin, I want to take the role of the third or second female lead." Maidol saw Ning Shu's surprised face and felt a little guilty. She changed her words and said, "Maid, unimportant role is also okay. I just want to show my face." Ning Shu sighed, looked at Maidol and said, "I'll try to get you such a role." Thank you, Sister Chin." Maidol's face lit up with joy. She looked at Ning Shu with clear eyes and was looking forward to the role that her agent found for her. Ning Shu ignored her and drove to the set. Maidol was very excited and expectant along the way. Chapter 300. Maidol finally got the role she had been looking forward to. However, the role of this servant was a slut who seduced the master and was beaten to death by the mistress of the house. In fact, this role was not bad. At least there were many opportunities to show her face. However, when she was beaten to death, she had to take off her buttocks and be beaten with the board. No one had accepted this role because her buttocks were exposed. In fact, it was not completely exposed. She had to take off her pants and cover it with her clothes. Half of it was exposed. The plot was arranged like this. This extremely coquettish woman would receive such retribution, which would make the audience very satisfied. This was a villain role. The filming company had not found a role for a long time. Famous actresses did not accept this role. It was a role that was completely hated. There was also a scene where her pants were taken off and she was beaten with the board. This made the actress very resistant. Although she wore underwear and covered it with her clothes, her white thighs were exposed. However, if she took off her pants in front of so many people and was beaten with the board, the actresses who wanted to go far away would not accept it. The most important thing was that this role was very unlikable. It was very shameless. If she acted well, she might become popular. However, it would be a black and red. She might not be able to get rid of the label of a whore. Ning Shu told Maidol about this situation. When Maidol heard this, she looked at Ning Shu in shock. She stuttered and said angrily, "How can it be such a role?" Ning Shu shook his head and said, "The other roles are all side roles that do not have much influence. This is the best role and it will appear the most. In fact, I also do not agree with you taking this role. This kind of role is very difficult to handle. Moreover, it will have a bad influence. It is better to start with some small roles and hone your acting skills step by step. Maidol nodded. Then I will take on other roles. Following this, Ning Shu took on various roles for Maidol. A corpse, a brothel girl, or a hostage taken by criminals. Although Maidol felt that she had made a breakthrough in her acting skills, her face was still stiff when she was acting. Sometimes, she couldn't even read her lines smoothly. Every time the director scolded Maidol, the more nervous Maidol was. The more nervous she was, the easier it was for her to make mistakes. She had NGs many times, which made everyone impatient, especially the actors who acted with Maidol. They were quite dissatisfied with Maidol. Every time, Maidol would slow down the progress of the filming. If she met a hot-tempered director, she would be replaced after 2 or 3 takes. Many times, Maidol was so busy that she couldn't even earn enough money to play a minor role. She couldn't even get a box lunch. Ning Shu saw this in his heart and did not blame Maidol. He kept comforting her. However, Ning Shu's consolation was of no use to Maidol. Now, Maidol was very anxious. After being denied and questioned countless times, Maidol fell into a cycle of self-doubt and denial. She even had the feeling of self-loathing and felt that she was really useless. Ning Shu always said in Maidol's ear over and over again, "It's okay, take it slow, take it slow." After many times, Maidol couldn't stand it anymore. She directly shouted at Ning Shu, "How can I take it slow? How can I take it slow? I still haven't achieved anything. I'm so annoyed. You always ask me to act these roles. When can I make a name for myself?" Ning Shu didn't speak. He just looked at Maidol with broad and kind eyes. Under Ning Shu's gaze, the blue veins on Maidol's forehead jumped. She was very tired and fell on the sofa. When she saw that Ning Shu didn't speak, she felt a little regretful. She apologized to Ning Shu, "Sorry, Sister Chin. I'm just in a bad mood." Ning Shu said very understandingly, "I know you've been under a lot of pressure recently. Take a shower and go to sleep." Maidol nodded and dragged her tired body to the bathroom. Ning Shu looked at Maidol's back. Well, Maidol now didn't have the spirit when she first entered the entertainment circle. Now, Maidol was full of tiredness and lingering gloom. It was the gloom of having talent but not being recognized. Would Mojave like Maidol like this? Maybe. Maidol came out of the shower and saw that her agent had left. However, Joey, who had been busy with the album release, had come back. Joey, who used to have long hair, had cut her hair short. There was a little mischievousness in her intellectual look. She looked more energetic. Although she was busy all day, she looked very good and full of vitality. Maidol saw Joey, who was full of vigor. They were clearly on the same level, but Joey had already walked in front of her. She had worked so hard but had not succeeded. However, Joey had succeeded so easily. Maidol was not reconciled and jealous. On the set, she had suffered a lot. She had also seen how willful those big stars were. She had been scolded by the director, but those big stars could just say that they were in a bad mood and they could stop filming. The director didn't dare to say anything. Such an obvious difference in treatment made Maidol's heart grow sour. One day, she would also succeed. She would not have to suffer like this and make those directors kneel down and praise her. My duo, just wanted to succeed. She was under a lot of pressure now. Everything around her was giving her a lot of pressure. The atmosphere of the entertainment industry was so oppressive that my duo, almost couldn't breathe. When she was washing her hair just now, her fingers were covered in strands of hair. "Joey, how's the preparation of your album?" Maidol asked Joey. Joey smiled and said, "It's pretty good. I'm recording now, but there's still some time before the album is released." "It's still early." Seeing the smile on Joey's face, Maidol's heart became even more sour. She pretended to say unintentionally, "Sister Chin is so good to you. It seems that she wants to make you a queen." Joey frowned and then said, "Sister Chin is very good to everyone. She is also very good to you. She goes to pick up shows for you every day. Recently, Sister Chin said that she wanted to take care of you. She didn't even go to my recording." Maydol was speechless. Well, it was pretty good. However, Maydol felt that her agent was not really good to her. If she was good to her, why did she pick up such shows for her? This was what Maydol was most dissatisfied with about her agent. So irritated. Maydol felt that she could not vent out the anger in her heart. It was so uncomfortable that she wanted to die. She wanted to say that her agent was not good, but her agent did everything well. She could not find any fault with her agent. But because of this, she felt sullen in her heart. Maydol hammered her chest, as if she wanted to spit out the anger in her heart. Seeing Maydol like this, Joey asked, "What are you doing? Why are you hitting yourself for no reason?" Maydol looked at Joey faintly. She sighed and said jealously, "Joey, I really envy you. At least you have a direction to work hard. I don't even have the motivation to work hard now." Maydol only felt tired now. She had worked hard but did not get the same return. Chapter 301. Even though Maydol was very tired, Ning Shu took Maydol to the audition regardless of the weather. Ning Shu ignored Maydol's tired face and accepted the role for Maydol. Maydol discussed with Ning Shu, "Sister Chin, can you give me a minor role? I'm very tired. I'm tired of playing such minor roles." Ning Shu said indifferently, "I know you're tired, but what I want to say is that you can't even play such a simple minor role. Even if there's an important role for you, do you think you can do it?" Maydol bit her lip. "I can." Her confidence had been worn down by these strange roles. Maydol's nose twitched. She felt like she couldn't see the future. Wearing a dirty minor role, she felt like she would be tortured until she went crazy. Ning Shu smiled indifferently. "Maydol, it's not that I don't want to give you a good role. It's true that I can't get any good roles. You don't have any works. Although you're tired now, you can always learn something. You're too impetuous now. Calm down." Maydol was annoyed. Hearing her manager use such words to brush her off every time, Maydol's heart became even more irritable. Maydol was so angry that she wanted to cry. She wanted to leave. What future did she have with such a manager? Ning Shu took Maydol to beg the director to give her a role. When the director saw Maydol, he directly said that there were no more minor roles. Ning Shu clearly saw the stage supervisor and assistant director looking for minor roles, but he told them that he didn't want them. He obviously didn't want Maydol. Maydol had been in this kind of place for a while. She immediately understood what the other party meant. Her face turned green with anger. She didn't want to play such a role, but in the end, the other party actually rejected her. Maydol was embarrassed and angry at this moment. Ning Shu took Maydol to a few sets, but they didn't want her. A director directly said, "This girl is not good at acting. She's just a minor role, but she has to NG so many times. Everyone is in a bad mood. Many actors don't like her." Ning Shu was speechless. The future movie queen was actually said to be not good at acting. Was Maydol really not good at acting, or was the movie queen award fake? Or maybe Mojave used his strong ability to turn Maydol into a movie queen. Who knows? In any case, did not even have the chance to play a minor role. Previously had despised minor roles, but now, she did not even have the chance to play one. Maydol was probably on the blacklist of these directors. Ning Shu had no choice but to take Maydol back. As soon as they got into the car, Maydol cried so hard that she couldn't breathe. Her face was pale with anger. Ning Shu felt that Maydol was too fragile. If she encountered such a situation, she definitely wouldn't cry. Instead, she would shamelessly ask the director for a role. But Ning Shu wouldn't give up his face to ask for a role for Maydol. She didn't like such a role. Even if she begged Maydol, she wouldn't cherish it and would despise it. Ning Shu looked at Maydol and cried. Maydol cried out all the grievances she had suffered recently. Her eyelids were swollen. Finally, she stopped crying. She turned to look at Ning Shu. A pair of fish eyes stared at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. "Sister Chin, I want to take the role of that servant girl," Maydol said firmly to Ning Shu. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "Are you sure? That role isn't easy to play." She was going to be taken off her pants and spanked. It seemed that the noble Maydol had been forced to lose her principles. Now that she wanted to take the role, there were many seductive men in this movie. In the end, she was beaten to death. It was an annoying role. For the first time on the screen, she had to take on some positive roles. Otherwise, the role would be fixed and she would give people the impression that she was a bad woman. Do you really want to take this role? I don't want you to take this role, Ning Shu persuaded Maydol. But now, Maydol's mind was filled with the director's disdain. The recent disappointment made Maydol want to prove that she could do it. Moreover, there were many opportunities to appear in this role. Maydol wanted to take this role. She had never thought that acting would be so complicated. She just wanted to act in peace and quiet. Ning Shu said calmly, "Are you sure you want to take this role?" "Yes, I must prove to them that I can act." My duo furrowed her brows tightly. Although her words were impassioned, her expression was filled with uncertainty. Being rejected by so many directors was a devastating blow to Maydol's confidence. Maydol, who was determined to be a movie queen, was now beaten to such a state. Ning Shu unscrewed a bottle of mineral water for Maydol and handed it to her. She looked tired, lost, helpless, defeated, and unwilling. Maydol with Mojave and Maydol without Mojave were completely different. Without Mojave, Maydol couldn't move an inch and couldn't maintain the purity and beauty she had when she first entered the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry was a big dye vat. Everyone in it would be dyed black. Maydol was lucky to meet Mojave. Mojave gave Maydol a strong protection. While others were struggling bitterly and even resorting to crooked means in order to climb up, my duo stood at the top of the pyramid and leaned on her sugar daddy. She looked down at these people who did not respect themselves and sold their dignity and desires for a role. She despised these people. Ning Shu laughed in his heart and called the director. The director asked Maydol to audition. This role was very difficult and required a lot of acting skills, but the director agreed when he saw the pure Maydol. The unexpected success made Ning Shu feel a little strange. When Maydol heard that she passed the audition, she was very happy. Her gloominess was swept away and she was bright and beautiful. Ning Shu just smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Then he stayed by Maydol's side and took care of her every day. Even when she was filming at night, Ning Shu was always there. Ning Shu received the title of a good manager. Ning Shu could only say that they thought too much. Even if she wanted to target someone, she wouldn't be so blatant. If the original owner came back and found out that she had been fired, she would collapse. What was the point of counterattacking? He had to be on the right side of things. He could not allow to attack him. She and Maydol would fall out sooner or later. Now Ning Shu felt that Maydol was full of resentment towards him. If Maydol rose up, she would definitely kick him out. Ning Shu now understood the director's intention. Maydol had a pure face, but the role was a slut who shamelessly seduced men. It was a huge contrast. Imagine a pure face seducing men. This role was even more explosive. Chapter 302. My duo began to act. She was in her best condition, but her performance was still very stiff. She usually had to take several takes before she could pass. Ning Shu saw that the director was holding his breath. The actors who acted with Maydol did not like Maydol, and they said very unpleasant things in private. Almost everyone despised Maydol's acting. Maydol always complained to Ning Shu tearfully after hearing this. Maydol thought that she would be in a good state if she did not play a small role and acted more, but now everyone was blaming her for slowing down the process. Everyone in the crew looked at her strangely, which made my duo very uncomfortable. What made my duo even more frustrated was that the male actor she was acting with was always trying to take advantage of her. Sometimes he would even touch her chest with his elbow, and the other party would pretend to be very serious. Maydol wanted to cry, but she did not know what to say. The actors always had physical contact with her, and one of their hands was always touching her body. Especially during filming, she had to try her best to not make mistakes, and she also had to endure the men taking advantage of her. Maydol could not stand it anymore, so she told Ning Shu. Ning Shu comforted her. Bear with it. The actor who acted with you is a senior. Bear with it? But he is so terrible to me. Maidol stared at Ning Shu with her eyes wide open. He is so disgusting and dirty. Then you go and expose him. You are still filming. What good will it do you to fall out with him? I said that this industry is so cruel. Without success and recognition, there is no human rights. You are just an ant. I can guarantee that if you expose him now, you don't have to stay in this crew. Ning Shu said indifferently, calmly and cruelly. He can decide your fate with one word. However, Maidol's heart was in turmoil. She felt terrible. She had pushed her worldview aside and destroyed the worldview that she had established. She had to rebuild her worldview to adapt to the entertainment industry. Maidol was very resistant. Did she really have to go with the flow? She just wanted to act. Why would there be such a thing? The director is calling for you. It's your turn. Ning Shu nudged Maidol, who was in a daze with a pale face. Maidol was in a trance, but she was not in a good state. After many takes, the director was so angry that he took off his hat and threw it on the ground. He pointed at Maidol's nose and scolded, "What the hell is wrong with you? I asked you to play a person, not a wooden figure. You are supposed to seduce people. Can't you be more charming?" "I'm sorry, it's my fault." "I'm sorry, director." Maidol apologized to the director with a numb expression. "Seriously, I'm not shooting today." The director was very annoyed. He pointed at Maidol and said, "You stay, I'll tell you the script." Tell her the script? Maidol felt a little strange. She then saw that other people were looking at her meaningfully and ambiguously. Ning Shu walked over and said to the director, "Director, Maidol is not in a good state today. She is not feeling well and her face is very pale." The director looked at Maidol in a trance and waved his hand. "Let's forget about it today. If this drags on, when can we finish shooting?" Maidol's face was getting paler. It was already dark and the night wind was blowing. Maidol felt very cold. She had never felt so cold in her life. She was really tired. Ning Shu brought Maidol back to the small apartment. Along the way, Maidol was in a trance. Her face was pale and she looked quite scary. When she reached the apartment, she fell onto the sofa and hugged the pillow as she cried. She wailed loudly and her heart was torn apart. Although Maidol was crying uncomfortably, Ning Shu's heart was carefree. This was the original owner's mood. Because of Maidol, Chen Shi lost her job and couldn't survive in Jiang City's entertainment industry. She was imprisoned and raped by gangsters. In the end, she was stabbed to death. She didn't even have a grave and was directly buried in a fish's stomach. Perhaps Maidol didn't even know that someone would meet with a disaster because of a few words from her. At that time, she and Mojave were probably living happily. How would she know? Ning Shu sat at the side and supported his chin as he looked at Maidol. Maidol's purity and quickness were being worn away. After meeting Mojave, Maidol could swim freely in the big dye vat. But without Mojave, Maidol was nothing. Ning Shu ruined Maidol and Mojave's first night. Without this entanglement, Maidol and Mojave wouldn't be able to break through. But was tired from crying. She wiped the tears off her face and turned around to see her agent looking at her with a calm and indifferent gaze. A chill ran down my spine. Maidol's heart suddenly had a fear of her agent. She felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't tell what was wrong. Ning Shu said to Maidol, "Don't cry. Look at you crying so many times. You didn't cry so much in the past. Why do you look like you're soaking in bitter water now?" Maidol sobbed twice. Why was her acting path so difficult? Sometimes, Maidol even had the illusion that she shouldn't be like this. But the reality made people collapse. Ning Shu said, "Cheer up and act well in this movie. This is the first movie in your life. Act well." Maidol nodded. Ning Shu asked, "Sister Chen, will you help me? I can only rely on you now." Ning Shu smiled indifferently. "Of course I will help you." Maidol looked at Ning Shu in a daze. It was a gentle smile, but Maidol felt that there was an inexplicable coldness in it. Maidol felt that it was her illusion. Now Maidol found that it was really difficult for her to move forward, so she wanted to curry favor with her agent. It was not until now that Maidol realized that her fate was in the hands of her agent. What she would become in the future depended on her agent's mood. After going through so many things, Maydol abandoned some of her previous ideas and instinctively made herself do the most beneficial thing for herself. To put it bluntly, Maydol was trying to adapt to the entertainment industry and make her life easier. Maydol felt pain when the things she encountered in the past conflicted with her own worldview. Now, Maydol chose to compromise. Ning Shu nodded. You are an artist under me. I naturally hope that you can have a future. This is also good for me. It is a mutually beneficial thing. Thank you, Sister Chin. Maydol reached out and grabbed Ning Shu's arm, shaking it as if she was acting coquettishly. But now, Maydol gave Ning Shu the feeling that she was a dog that wanted a bone. She wanted to gain benefits through his actions. He really wanted to let Mojave see what the pure and innocent girl looked like now. She no longer had the so-called persistence. These experiences had worn away her purity. He didn't know if such a Maydol could still attract Mojave. The more used to filthy and flashy people were, the more they yearned for purity and light. Coincidentally, Maydol was this light. Chapter 303. Ning Shu saw that Maydol had the intention to improve herself, so he didn't want to accompany her to the set and let her go by herself. Now that Ning Shu had to follow up on Joey's album, she had wasted a lot of time on Maydol. She had to take up roles for Maydol all day long. To be honest, it was very tiring to get so many weird roles. These roles were specially chosen by Ning Shu for Maydol. In the plot, Maydol had Mojave and was given an important role from the beginning. Even if her acting skills were a little shaky, the director's attitude wouldn't be so bad. He let Maydol's acting skills slowly improve. The most important thing was that at that time, Maydol was confident and pure. But now, Maydol had no background and was just a minor character. In the face of such a person, it would be strange if the director was polite. Mador gradually lost her confidence as she denied it again and again. She also became impatient and unbalanced. In addition, Joey, who lived in the same apartment as her, was steadily improving in his career, but she was stuck at the same spot. It was inevitable that she was anxious and eager to succeed. Now that Maydol heard that Ning Shu didn't go with her and said that he was going to take care of Joey, Maydol felt uncomfortable in her heart. And Maydol found that she was really relying on her agent. In the past, it was always her agent who accompanied her when she was filming. If there was any problem, the agent would come out to help. Now, she had to go to the set alone and face the whole crew alone. Maydol felt a little guilty. Maydol pulled Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu begged, Sister Chin, can you go with me? I'm a little scared. Ning Shu pushed her hand away and said lightly, I'm not only your agent, but also Joey's agent. Not only do I have to take care of you, but I also have to follow up on Joey's situation. And you've been acting for so long, you should be able to deal with those people. Sister Chin believes in you. Even you can deal with those people by yourself. Maydol was really bitter in her heart. She could only go to the set alone. Ning Shu followed up on Joey's album. Obviously, the company saw the value in Joey. Now, they wanted to package Joey and try to make Joey's album sell better. Joey was very happy about Ning Shu's arrival. He smiled at Ning Shu. Ning Shu took the water handed to him. Ning Shu said, Sister Chin, how come you have time to come here? Are you unhappy because Sister Chin has been spending time on Maydol? Ning Shu looked at Joey and asked. Joey shook his head and said gratefully, It's all thanks to Sister Chen that I can sing now. I'm very satisfied now. I'm not unhappy. And there are many things I can do by myself. I just want to trouble Sister Chen less. No matter whether Joey was telling the truth or not, it made people feel very comfortable. In terms of social etiquette, Joey was indeed much better than Maydol. Maydol was the kind of person who felt sorry for the world when she suffered. Ning Shu accompanied Joey until night. When he opened the door, he saw Maydol sitting on the sofa, hugging her legs and crying. What's wrong? Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. The current Maydol was made of water. In the storyline, Maydol was soaking in a honey pot. But now, Maydol was a baby soaking in bitter water. She was crying again. Ning Shu felt that there were some things that did not require tears. To be honest, Ning Shu did not like to cry so easily. What was the use of tears? Ning Shu had experienced several worlds and never shed tears. He did not even pretend to cry to make people feel pity for him. Sometimes, Ning Shu wondered if he was a woman. Perhaps it was the pain of more than 10 years of chemotherapy that made him more resilient. What's wrong? Why are you crying again? Ning Shu asked Maidol. Maidol raised her head from between her knees. She had not removed the makeup on her face. Her tears had washed away her eyeliner, making her eyes dark. There were 2 black ravines on her face. She looked particularly pitiful. Maidol looked panicked and scared. Ning Shu shouted, "Sister Chen, I'm scared. I'm really scared." What happened? Ning Shu asked indifferently. He asked Joey to get water for Maidol to wash her face. Maidol hugged her arms. She seemed to be very cold. Even her lips were trembling. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Did something happen to Maidol? Or did it have something to do with the male lead? Can you tell Sister Chen what happened to you? You can't solve anything by crying like this. Ning Shu asked patiently. He did not know why, but when he saw Maidol crying like this, he wanted to beat her up and make her talk. Ning Shu suspected that he also had obsessive-compulsive disorder. Sister Chen, I'm scared. I don't want to go to film anymore. Maidol tightly bit her lips. I don't want to go. Why? Can I know the reason? There must be a reason. You finally made up your mind to play this role. Why don't you play it? Ning Shu asked with concern. Maidol tightly bit her lips. Her face was as pale as paper. There was an indescribable exhaustion and gloominess in her expression. The director wanted to rape me. After Maidol said that, she burst into tears. While crying, she said, the director said he wanted to explain the scene to me. Then he took me to the room and pressed me down on the bed. Ning Shu listened to Maidol's intermittent words and finally understood what was going on. The director wanted to force Maidol into the unspoken rules. Ning Shu was more concerned about the result. He quickly asked, "Are you okay? Did he succeed?" "No, I escaped." Maidol cried and said, when Ning Shu saw my duo, crying like this, she felt her heart itching. Could she stop crying? She felt annoyed just by looking at her. "It's good that you're okay." Ning Shu seemed to be relieved. He then asked, "The director didn't chase after you?" "He chased after me, but I bumped into Mojave. I don't know why Mojave helped me solve it," Maidol said. Ning Shu. The male and female leads had already interacted. "Sister Chen, I don't think I can act in this movie. The director definitely won't let me act anymore. Also, I feel like vomiting when I see the director now." Maidol cried and said. Maidol cried so hard that it seemed like she had lost her mind. However, in the plot, Maidol and Mojave had a one-night stand. They didn't see Maidol crying like this. The unspoken rules also depended on the partner. Mojave was good at acting and was good-looking. However, the director looked wretched and fat. "The director will let you act in this movie. Don't worry," Ning Shu said with certainty. Maidol was stunned. "But because the person who helped you is Mojave, the prince of Jiangcheng's entertainment circle. One word from him can make a mediocre artist famous," Ning Shu said with a smile. "You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.